It is time for baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, and Robin Yao getting rained on outside Miller Park. Good thing there is a roof. We are high and dry inside and set for Game 2. It's the Milwaukee Brewers and the Atlanta Braves, and it's tonight on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And hi, everybody. We welcome you to our booth here at Miller Park. Brian Anderson along with Bill Schroeder. Great to have you with us. We've got a special night tonight. We dedicate this night to the umpires, and we're going to have Bruce Frimming on in just a moment. We'll get into that. But first, Rock, some news to talk about. Ryan Braun not in the lineup here tonight. Everybody's anxious to hear about Braun's status. He showed up to the ballpark today, and he is unable to go in this game.
Yeah, listed as day-to-day. A bruise on the elbow. He got hit by Tommy Hanson in yesterday's ball game. The kid throws hard, so Ryan, I've been seeing a lot of discomfort in last night's ball game. Had to get taken out later on. So you figure he's going to miss tomorrow's game. The team has an off day on Thursday, so he should be ready to go by Friday.
As for Carlos Gomez, a transaction earlier today, Gomez placed on the disabled list. Now, this is the left shoulder injury he suffered in Los Angeles, and it goes back retroactive to the 6th of May. And in his spot, Adam Stern, up from AAA Nashville.
Yeah, he's got big league experience, 2 different teams in the American League. He had a tremendous spring. There was actually some talk about Stern maybe going to Milwaukee out of spring training. Another left-handed hitter coming off the bench. Carlos Gomez on the DL retroactive. You know, Ken Maka just can't play with a short bench for very long.
So Gomez on the DL, Stern is up. Maybe we'll see him tonight. One thing we're going to do tonight is dedicate this broadcast to the umpires. Bruce Frimming, the legendary umpire, Milwaukee native, joins us next. We'll have a chat with Bruce when we come back. Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T. Rethink possible. And by the new Miller Lite Vortex bottle. Taste greatness. Crowd still filing in across the Hank Aaron Bridge here at Miller Park. And Fielden Colbreth putting on the tools of brilliance as far as umpires go. He is the home plate umpire tonight. He's like the starting pitcher, you know. The spotlight is on him this evening, and we'll get to know Fielden Colbreth a lot more as this night continues. And hi, everybody. It is Bruce Fremming. You know this face. You know the voice. Legendary umpire right here from Milwaukee. Great to have you. Rock, finally we got a professional up here to call the balls and strikes.
Yeah, you're looking forward to it. 37 years you called balls and strikes by yourself. You looking forward to doing it with us up here?
And you haven't done a very good job lately, so I'm glad to be up here.
Yeah, you retired after the 2007 season. Tell everybody what you're doing now.
I'm mentoring with the young officials that come up and down from AAA, and I just came out of New York doing some work there for a week, and I enjoy the work. I enjoy work with the young people.
It's going to be a long night with Bruce Fremming, but a good night. He's going to be here even for the instructional for Brewers Live postgame. Tonight's crew at the home plate umpire is Field and Colbreth. Marty Foster is at first base. The crew chief tonight is Gary Cedarstrom, and Ed Hickox is the third base umpire. And we had a chance to visit with Ed Hickox, and we asked him about the road to the major leagues.
A lot of people just think that we just appear. Basically, you have to go to what's called umpire school. It is a 5-week course. It basically goes the month of January. And every year between the two schools, there's about 300 candidates that wish to get into the game. And only about 50 actually make it, just about 25 from each of the schools. And out of that 50, they go to an evaluation course, and depending on how many retirements there are in the lower minor leagues, maybe 25 will get placed into pro ball. And then it's a process of going through A ball, AA, AAA, and they're in the major leagues.
Ed Hickox, we're going to have a great night getting to know the umpires. And, of course, we got a baseball game. We're ready for Game 2. It's Tim Hudson for the Braves against Dave Bush for the Brewers. The lineups and the first pitch coming up next.
Everybody always says, you know, what we want is consistency. I don't think that's the truth. You don't want consistency. You want perfection. That's what it truly is. You don't want me to be consistent. You want me to be perfect. And you really want me to be perfect for your team.
Well said. Field and Colbreth, South Carolina native, a 13-year big league veteran umpire. And there is the lineup exchange before tonight's game. As Ken Maka and Fielden Colbert. We'll get into that part of the game as well. Brian Anderson with Bill Schroeder. Bruce Fremming is with us all night long. There you see Bobby Cox. And on the mound tonight for the Brew Crew, it is Dave Bush. The Brewers trying to win for the first time in this series. They lost last night to Atlanta. And the Brew Crew just 4-9. And after that first pitch, what do we always say, Bruce, before we get a game started?
Play ball.
Well, we almost missed it, but we're ready to go now.
We're one pitch late.
We're a strike in there, and it's 0-1 to Nate McLouth. Nate McLouth put into the leadoff spot. A last-minute change for Bobby Cox. Chipper Jones is out of the lineup as McLouth rolls to Escobar and one away here in the first inning. Here is the Atlanta Braves starting lineup issued by Bobby Cox. It's brought to you by Subway. Nate McLouth, Martin Prado, and Jason Hayward at the top. Hayward batting third for the first time this year. Terrific 20-year-old rookie. Brian McCann, Troy Gloss, and Eric Hensky in the middle. Omar Infante, Brooks Conrad, and Tim Hudson rounded out. And that lineup faces Dave Bush.
Yeah, 4.19 earned run average, and really it's only been one bad start for Bushy. That was against the Cubs. Gave up 7 earned runs in 3 2/3. Other than that, he's been very good.
And here is Martin Prado. Prado had the big game yesterday. 5 runs batted in, had 2 hits, including that grand slam home run, part of a 6-run 6th inning. And Atlanta would go on to win last night's game 8-2. Well, Bruce, we're underway here, and already an appeal play at first base. Now, a lot of umpires would tell you that's the one call that gives them a little stress, that check swing.
Well, it's part of, check swings, part of walking on the field. You got check swings, you got trap balls, you got saves and outs, balls and strikes. Any of them can be controversial. And the main thing is that as an umpire, you stay focused. And I never considered any call a tough call because they can all be tough, but you have to make the call, and that's what umpiring is all about, making the call.
Now, you have to clear this up for us, because Rock and I discuss this on occasion, as you know, and I know we watch a lot of Brewers TV. A check swing or a half swing, as Bush delivers one, fouled away. Now, is it tougher for you to call when you're on the base pads if a guy has a black bat or a light-colored bat? Does it make a difference?
It doesn't make a difference. You're focused.
Well, now you're making him sound good, because that's what he always says.
Well, yeah, and you know who came up with that theory? Jim Gantner.
Did he?
That was a Gumby theory.
You don't
buy into it?
Gumby was a Super Bowl player, but I don't think his theory on umpiring has got any merit.
See, Rock, we're right away in the first inning. The truth is already coming out. All that good fodder we had about it.
Yeah.
So it's cleared up right away. All right, well, that's good. So it doesn't help you to have a black bat. Full count to Martin Prado. A dangerous bat in that Atlanta lineup last night. Prado was one of their best hitters. See how the Brewers line up defensively behind Dave Bush. Brought to you by Blaine's. Jody Garrett gets the start for Ryan Braun. Jim Edmonds in center. Corey Hart in right. It's McGee, Escobar, Weeks, and Fielder around the horn with Greg Zahn catching Dave Bush. As Rock mentioned, Ryan Braun out tonight, possibly tomorrow. Might not see him back until Friday. Tonight, Jody Garrett gets the call in left field as Prado stays live against Dave Bush.
I just want to be cautious with Ryan Braun. Why not? It's early in the season. We're talking about mid-May. Give him a few days off. He's got some swelling in that elbow. Nothing really serious, but enough to keep him out of the lineup tonight.
Long at bat here with Martin Prado. And finally, Bush strikes him out. 2 up, 2 down. Our scouting report tonight brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We go to Greg Zahn, Dave Bush's battery mate.
It's always about fastball command for him. He has a good feel for the breaking ball, the change-ups here and there, the cutter the same, but he always has a good feel for that curveball. But the games where he throws his best games, he is in the lanes with his fastball. It comes down to being able to stay on one side of the plate. When we're going away from somebody, the ball stays away. And if we miss off the plate where they can't get to it.
Now, Bruce, you as an umpire behind home plate somewhat know what each pitcher has that particular day, curveball, slider, that type of thing.
Well, the one thing about working the plate, as Bush delivers here, is that you can't prepare for anything. The only time that I can tell you that where your mind played games with you in preparing was when you had a guy like Phil Niekro or Wakefield with the knuckleball, because you have to wait, your timing's got to be so. But other than that, you take what they throw and you have to call a ball or a strike, and if you anticipate, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Right.
Jason Hayward back in the starting lineup tonight for Atlanta. Skies one out to center field. And we're off and running here at Miller Park. To the bottom of the first we go. Weeks, Garrett, and Edmonds to lead off. Brought to you by Subway. Ricky Weeks leads off. Jody Garrett batting second. And for the first time this year, somebody other than Ryan Braun hitting third. It's Jim Edmonds in there. Good career numbers against Tim Hudson. Middle of the order is Fielder, McGee, and Zahn. Corey Hart, Alcides Escobar, and Dave Bush rounded out. And it's Tim Hudson on the mound tonight, Rock. He has been terrific for Atlanta this year.
And he was limited to only 7 games last year for the Atlanta Braves. Had Tommy John surgery in August of 2008. And starting off his season extremely well. More of a control pitcher, not the power pitcher that he used to be.
So Hudson to face Ricky Weeks. Dave Bush with a 3-up, 3-down first inning. Last night the Brewers scored 2 runs on just 6 hits. And both of those runs came on one swing of the bat from Casey McGee. That was in the 9th inning. Tommy Hansen shut out the Brewers through 8 innings last night. Just 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. Little bouncer out to Infante. And 1 up, 1 down. Our scouting report brought to you by Mercedes-Benz on Tim Hudson. Comes from Brewers hitting coach Dale Swain.
Power sinker, uses a sinker a lot. Good ground ball guy. Mixing a split finger and a little slider and a cutter. Does a good job of keeping the ball down. You just got to get him up in the zone and hopefully, hit the ball hard. But you got to get him up in the zone. Otherwise, he's gonna be 3 ground balls to 1 fly ball guy all the time.
Well, he's also had a changeup. He had that Tommy John surgery and that split-fingered fastball. Very tough on the elbow. Doesn't throw as many as he used to.
Well, Jody Garrett hitting second tonight for the Brew Crew, getting the start in left for Braun, and he hammers one opposite field. This is back there, but going to be run down by Eric Hinsky. A line drive to the warning track. Garrett is retired. And here comes Jim Edmonds now. Edmonds batting third for the Brewers. Ryan Braun normally occupies that spot. He has made the start in left field and in that 3-hole in the batting order every single game this year until tonight. Edmonds gets the call in the 3-hole and at prime position in front of Prince Fielder.
Man, 3 lefties in a row for Ken Mock at the top of the order. Garrett Edmonds Fielder. That's something we haven't seen yet this year.
No balls, 2 strikes on Jim Edmonds. 2 outs here in the first, and Edmonds pops one up to left. Henske settles under it, and the side retired. 3 up, 3 down for Hudson on our way to the second inning.
When things don't go our way, and I also have to hit as well. So I walk a fine line, because a lot of times, human beings make mistakes, both the players and the umpires. Tempers get the best of people sometimes. Ultimately, you're looking for a relationship where each guy respects one another as a professional.
Those are the thoughts of Greg Zahn talking about the umpires, and we're dedicating this broadcast to the umpires here tonight. Bruce Frimming joins us in the booth. He'll be with us throughout the ball game here tonight, and he'll be on with Bill for the instructional after the game with Bill and Jerry. So fun to get to know these guys. They are truly the great professionals of the game, and they never have a home game. These guys are always on the road. Dave Bush back on the mound facing Brian McCann. And Bruce, it is interesting, that relationship between catcher and umpire. Probably a little more connection there than any other position on the field, I would think.
Well, it is an important. He's a go-between between you and the pitcher. I got a base hit there.
As McCann singles to right. Actually going to try to stretch it into an extra base hit. Corey Hart hustles it back. That's going to be a double for Brian McCann.
So, in the relationship with a catcher, Greg Zahn really described it as well as you can describe it. He's the go-between. He keeps the pitcher calm in situations where a pitcher wants a pitch and whatever, and he's an important, really an important guy out there for the umpire.
We hit the air tonight. Field and Colbreth, the home plate umpire, had a soundbite from him talking about, everybody says they want consistency. What they really want is perfection, which is an interesting observation as Bush deals the strike to Troy Gloss. I thought that was well put, though.
And, well,
you guys want perfection, not consistency.
You could be consistently bad, and they say he's consistent. You don't want that.
Now, part of that relationship, catcher and umpire, is sometimes, when a catcher feels as though a call wasn't made correctly, maybe missed one, there are certain ways a catcher, can get away with maybe saying something to an umpire. What are some of the no-nos?
Well, One of the no-nos is if he's going to turn around and he gets everybody fired up. So, the smart catcher's not going to turn around a lot. He's going to look ahead and say, I thought that pitch was a good pitch, and he'll throw it back to the pitcher. And you may say to him, well, I had the ball out, I had the ball outside. And there's many of those discussions through the course of the season. It's when they turn on you that now you have a confrontation.
Well, and all the people in the stands know that the catcher's upset with the umpire, right?
Plus the manager does, and now you got people from the dugout.
What about holding the ball there for a long time? I know umpires, when I was catching, they didn't like that.
You don't want to hold it too long. Yeah. You don't want to show the umpire up. That.
Now, usually any sentence that starts with "you" is a bad thing for a player concerning an umpire, right?
Yeah, you're a nice guy. That guy's still in the game. It's usually when they say something else that they might get chased, and you in front of it obviously is is a big lead into the problem.
Unless it's something like, "You are a handsome man, Bruce Fleming."
I never got a lot of those compliments while I was out on the field.
2 balls, no strikes on Eric Hensky. And Bush misses inside, ball 3.
But Zahn was, I had Zahn many years, and he's an excellent guy, and he's a smart guy.
And he's a good fundamental catcher. He stays very still when he's receiving the baseball, and that's very important for an umpire.
Well, and the way he put it, he said, he wants to talk to the umpire.
Swinging away 3-0, and that is blistered into the gap. That's going to score a run. Eric Hensky, who has been swinging a hot bat for the Atlanta Braves. The second double of the inning, and the Braves have a 1-0 lead in the second.
Well, anytime Dave Bush gets too much of the plate, he's usually in trouble. He's been throwing the baseball pretty well. You heard Greg Zahn say it very well. It's all about fastball command. Got too much of the plate. It was up in the zone. And Hensky able to rip one into center field. So once again, the Atlanta Braves with an early lead.
Hensky's had a hard time finding his way into the lineup. It's only his 6th start here tonight. But he's driven in 9 runs in his previous 5 starts and now given 10. So 1-0 Atlanta. Here's Infante. Omar Infante hit leadoff yesterday and has been the leadoff hitter. But right before the game tonight, Chipper Jones unable to go, and a late scratch for Bobby Cox. And he shifted his lineup around a great deal. He put McLouth in the leadoff spot. He put Hayward in Chipper Jones' spot in the 3-hole. And Infante hit 7th tonight. Right off the end of the bat, McGee's coming in and makes the out at first base. On the play, Hensky advances to 3rd. Well, with our umpire theme tonight, our text question, we want you, the fans, to ask us, what do you think is the toughest call for an umpire to make? You can text your answer to WXY or Z. That's 234-234. That's the text number. So W is for boundary calls, X is for balls and strikes, Y is for check swings, Z close plays. We want to hear what you think, and then we'll hear from Bruce later in the broadcast.
Yeah, we don't want you influencing anybody out there, Bruce.
Yeah, don't say anything yet. Shh. Keep it quiet back there. What's amazing about Bruce Fleming's career is that he can reference working behind Greg Zahn, Bill Schroeder, Johnny Bench.
We actually never worked together, did we? You were a National League guy. I was always in the American League. You always spent spring training in Florida.
Always in Florida. I had 2 years in Arizona, 73 and 74, when Yount made the team. Yount made the team, 73? Randall was the manager, and I remember him saying, this guy's going to make the team. He was just a kid. I think he was 18, 19 years old.
Could you tell then he was pretty good?
He was hitting the ball and making plays.
Yeah, something special, Robin Yount.
Runner at 3rd with 2 outs. Swing and a miss by Brooks Conrad. And Dave Bush surrendering a run, 2 doubles in this second inning. Brian McCann and Eric Hensky. And an early lead for Atlanta. Neither team scored a run last night until the 5th. And then the floodgates opened for the Braves. They scored 7 of their 8 runs in 2 innings. Conrad takes a ball, 2-2. Chipper Jones, we mentioned out of the lineup. This is why. He's been nursing a groin strain. And he missed Sunday's game in Philadelphia, had the leg one out, and because of the score and because of the extra bet to first, Bobby Cox took him out. Jones was originally in the starting lineup, but not 100% during batting practice. As Bush strikes out Conrad to end the inning, a run is in for Atlanta, and we're headed to the second. Prince Fielder will lead off when we come back. 1-0 Braves. He hit his 7th of the year last night. The Brewers have hit 38 home runs for the season. And here's Prince Fielder to lead off. Tim Hudson, a 3-up, 3-down first. A ground ball and 2 fly ball outs to start it for Tim Hudson. Fielder with 4 home runs, 15 driven in. Had a couple of hits last night. And a big swing from Prince. We're here with Bruce Fremming tonight. And Bruce, you mentioned something last inning, talking about the guys that you've umpired. Obviously, you're a baseball fan to even get involved in umpiring to start with, but there's probably a little bit of a check, I would imagine, in following the game and then doing your job and making sure that you don't get caught stargazing, I guess, for the lack of a better word, as Fielder rolls out.
You know what? When you umpire, you appreciate good plays, and as an umpire, you see good plays, all year long. Great hitting, great catches, great everything. But that's because you might be on the bases and you allow some. When you're behind the plate, your whole focus is on the pitcher, and you're really not looking at a lot of other things. Although you do see, you're not blind to see great catches and great plays. But you're not a fan; you're an umpire.
That's your big day, though. I mean, umpires that have the plate, that's your day. You're in charge, and, it's kind of the way, that's the day you look forward to.
Well, and,
right?
and like they had fielding Culbreth before the game, putting on the gear and everything. The last 20, 25 minutes before you walk on the field, your concern is, between the white lines, you're going to get there. You want to, obviously.
There's a base hit by Casey McGee, and a one-out single for the Milwaukee Brewers. Continue.
So that 25 minutes of his preparation, finally putting on the gear, he waits till about 25 to 7.5 hours. you're trying to focus. They play cards maybe till 6:30 or whatever. Then it's showtime, and everybody gets their stuff on, and the plate guy's concerned about, going to home plate, getting the game started. And once you see a pitch, everything comes right back to you.
He is the umpire's equivalent of the starting pitcher. Kind of has that bubble around him. The other three umpires protect him a little bit before the start, or before his night at the plate.
Yeah, you give him a little space. The plate guy gets a little space. Depending what crew you work. I worked with crews that, they were really loose, and we teased right up till 10 minutes before the game, and teased hard and laughed hard and whatever.
It's like players.
And it takes the edge off. And I think, if you play hard and you work hard, I think it's a good combination, and I think it helps umpiring. Make it the togetherness of this crew. Now, you got a good crew here. These guys, they get along well. Excuse me, and the guy behind the plate.
Zone with a base hit. So back-to-back hits for the Brew crew. Casey McGee and Greg Zahn. Bruce Fremming is joining us here tonight throughout the broadcast as we talk a little umpiring throughout this game.
Well, you talk about going down and getting a low fastball. Pretty good job by Zoni that time. I mean, that ball is about 6 inches off the ground and able to sneak it into right field.
Now, Bruce, we're watching some of these umpires here, especially the crew chief, Gary Cederstrom, who's at second base, and some hand signals between the guys. How does the inning change as runners get on base? One with a runner at first, and now with runners at first and second.
Well, now you have what they call the infield fly warning. If a ball is hit in the infield or a ball that can be caught by an infielder, the batter's automatically out on that, and the runners advance at their own peril. And in this situation, Cederstrom has just given a signal to make sure everybody's aware of the infield fly signal. So when the ball is hit in the air, they're aware that the infield fly signal is on. And it's just good. It's just good mechanics that somebody, it can be anybody that gives everybody a signal, but usually it comes from the plate or from second base.
Ball and no strikes on Corey Hart. 2 on for the Brewers here with 1 out. And a strike called from Field and Colbert.
And that can be a tough call, Brian, because an infield fly, like Bill talked about earlier, when to call it. If the fielder is chasing the ball to the outfield, if he's got his back to the infield, you don't want to call an infield fly if the ball drops. So infield flies can be a tough call. The easy one's straight up in the infield.
Yeah, right on the inside corner, just at the bottom of the strike zone.
Bill's getting better at that.
Yeah, as soon as you sat down next to him, all of a sudden his zone expanded a great deal.
Well, you noticed yesterday when you came into the booth, every call was right on.
Now, I was saying, why did Field and Colbert just call that ball a strike, Bruce? But not Bill. He was called that a strike.
Yeah, he was very emphatic, and you can see that he's becoming a better umpire every year. It just takes a little more experience up here.
We have high technology. We can see everything up here.
I know that.
Yeah.
And they got a big buffet up here too.
Yeah.
Big spot here for the crew early. Down a run. 2-2 pitch, and that one just missed. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, now on the television side, we have Fox Tracks.
You guys love this, don't you?
And that shows that it is clearly a ball.
The whole world being umpires.
I'm not a big fan of Foxton strikes.
Right.
But it's interesting that the umpires are graded. Maybe you can take us through that process a little bit. But there are electronic devices throughout this ballpark, and home plate umpires are graded on their strike calling ability.
They get a disc every day on the amount of pitches that they call, and when they come to ball, like Ed Hickox today came to the park, and
he's swinging a miss as Hart strikes out. 2 outs in the inning.
So Eddie came to the park today, and he looks at his disc and sees how many that they've got graded borderline or that he missed, and he knows about what he did. Now, the average last year for the staff was over 95% correct per game. That's when you're talking 95, that's 950 pitches, just
right.
Simple math out of 1,000.
For a starter that throws 100 pitches, the disc says he missed 5, not bad.
Yeah, and those, a lot of those are borderline. I mean, it's we're trained, like Calbra said in the beginning, you're trained to be perfect, and you're not perfect, and you're going to miss pitches, and but they've got it. And then you can look at the pitches that you missed and see possibly why you missed it. Maybe you called it too quick, a timing issue, or that it was so close that the machine had you a ball and it was a strike. You're talking inches with a ball that's coming anywhere from 90 to 100 miles an hour.
So graded every night, the home plate umpire. And Bruce, part of his job, what he does now for Major League Baseball, he basically scouts the umpires from the eye in the sky. I mean, that's what supervisors do. Now, you're a special assistant, and what you're talking about here is exactly what you would be doing and thinking during a regular game here at Miller Park.
A part of it. When I go into the minor leagues, and I do go into the minor leagues, I'm looking at umpires that come up and down.
Escobar, a little soft liner falling fast. That will fall for a base hit. And here comes McGee. No throw from McLeod. And this game is tied as Escobar drives in a run.
Alcides able to stay back long enough and keep the bat in the hitting zone to get it off the end. Didn't hit it very well, but that was a good thing because McLeod playing relatively shallow with Escobar at the plate. Still not able to get there. And a good break off of second base by Casey to be able to score with 2 outs. Going on contact.
Thought we might have a play at the plate. But Escobar drives in a run with no throw, his 12th RBI. It's a 2-out RBI. And it comes from a key spot in the batting order, the 8th spot, batting in front of the pitcher. So we're tied at 1, and here's Dave Bush. Bush at the plate this year is 1 for 7. The Braves score a run in the second. The Brewers counter in the home second.
Bruce, it's not often that an umpire that's at the plate is going to bark at you too much for a pitch that you called a strike because he wants the same pitch, right? You get umpires arguing with you about that stuff when they're hitting?
Pitchers.
A pitcher, yeah. Well, very few pitchers. I'm not. There are a few pitchers that'll argue, but most of them let the catcher do the talking for them.
Well, when they're at the plate, they just take their medicine. They just walk back because they want that same pitch when they're on the mound, right?
Absolutely. They, when they bat, they're not there to argue. but when they're pitching, they'll want to pitch here and there.
Well, how about this? Hudson, who has impeccable command, falling behind Dave Bush. 3 balls and 1 strike. Ricky Weeks is on deck. Well, you figure Bush will get something to handle here. Runners at first and second. And Hudson missed. A big no-no. So Hudson walks the pitcher.
Yeah, 3rd walk for Bushy. And every time he's walked, it's been in the middle of a nice rally for the Brewers.
That will load the bases, and that will bring Roger McDowell to the mound.
On Friday, May 14th, against the Phillies, the first 10,000 kids 13 and under get a Century Foods pennant featuring the Barrowman logo. Each pennant also includes a Dean's Foods coupon.
Bruce Frimming is here with us in the booth as we get into the inside game for the umpires. Now that the situation has changed here, Bruce, bases are loaded. Players are always told to think ahead. What are the options now? Umpires think ahead too.
Absolutely. The more than likely the throw is going to go to first base unless you've got an easy force at second base. You're not looking, unless the ball's hit the 30, may step on the bag. But the simple ground ball, the shortstop, more than likely the ball's going to first base for the 3rd out.
So here's Ricky Weeks with the bases loaded. Big chance for the Brewers. On a mistake from Hudson, walking Dave Bush. He's on over at third. He's singled. Escobar drove in a run with a 2-out hit. And Bush the walk.
The other thing, Brian, you're looking for here with the bases loaded is a ball in the gap or something where one of the umpires has to go out on the ball. Now you have a rotation situation, and the second base umpire, the cover third, the first base umpire with 2 outs will go into second base. Plate umpire will stay where he is in most cases. But there's 2 ways they can rotate, but they know, they talk about it before the game.
In the dirt, and a nice block there by McCann.
So the umpires have plays just like there are plays in baseball. So
yeah, on every situation where a ball is hit, an umpire there's a playbook for him where to go, and when the third base umpire goes out with nobody on base and there's a ball in the corner, the plate umpire will go down to third base. The first base umpire will rotate home in case there's an overthrow and there's a play at the plate. So
here's the 1-2. Weeks on the ground to short. And the easy way to second for the final out. The Brewers strand the bases loaded. They do tie it, however, and we head to the third.
Brewers Vice President of Communications, Tyler Barnes. Tyler, today through Saturday, 5 counties and 5 days celebration. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's a great opportunity to come out and get a terrific deal on tickets. Half-price tickets, as you said, all the way through Saturday's game. Good availability for tomorrow. Friday and Saturday is getting a little bit scarce, but still some tickets left.
Well, a special celebration this weekend. All year long, the Brewers are celebrating their 40th anniversary. Talk a little bit about this weekend as well.
We do. We have 4 weekends during the season where we're going to celebrate a different decade on each of those weekends. This is the 70s weekend. So Autograph Friday, we're going to bring back Jim Colburn and Gorman Thomas are going to participate in the Autograph Friday for Kids event. They're going to wear the throwback uniforms from the 1970s, both the Phillies and the Brewers. And then on Sunday, we've got Hank Aaron Bobblehead Day. So a lot of really fun stuff going on this weekend.
Well, we also want to remind fans of the non-traditional start times this weekend as well because of national televised games for the Brewers.
Yeah, we do. We have both Saturday and Sunday, and some of the earlier schedules that came out showed the original start times, but those have been adjusted. So we've got a 3:10 start time on Saturday, 7:05 on Sunday. Sunday still actually got a pretty good number of tickets left, so come on out and get a Hank Aaron bobblehead and watch the Brewers as we take on the Phillies on national TV, too.
Thanks for your time, Tyler.
Thanks, Telly.
All right, B.A. and Rock, let's send it back up to you.
All right, Telly, thanks a lot. Good to hear from Tyler Barnes. A lot going on this weekend, and the 40th anniversary of Milwaukee Brewers baseball. Of course, the Milwaukee Braves left Milwaukee for Atlanta following the '65 season. And there was no big league baseball here from 66 through 69. And in 1970, they brought him back. And we celebrate that all season long. One gone for Dave Bush. Our carsoup.com email. The booth question has to do with umpiring. Steve in Brookfield wants to know, how do the umpires feel technology has affected their job? And Bruce Fleming, you'd be a good source for an answer on that question.
Well, technology is here to stay, and what the technology does is it makes sure that you're focused. I mean, you're there to do a job, and you're there to. Your mind can't wander. You're there for plays and pitches, and you've got a guy behind the plate tonight. He's bearing down on every pitch, and the guys on the bases, they want to get all their calls correct, because the technology, when you are wrong, the way the technology is now, it's wide open, and it shows you're wrong, and nobody wants to be wrong. But you mentioned no baseball here. 66 till 70 when they came out of Seattle. You can thank Bud Selig for getting baseball back in here. He worked the streets hard. I was at a couple of writers' dinners in the late 60s, and Bud had everybody in baseball that he could talk to at these dinners and everything else. And Bud did some job, and then you think about tonight, Bud's gone full circle. Now he's the commissioner, and you're under a roof. The weather would be a little cooler at County Stadium.
Yeah, come a long way, Milwaukee, hadn't it?
Yeah, he's done some job, and I was with his assistant the other day, or president of baseball, Bob DePay, and Bob sings his praises, and I'd like to see Bud be the commissioner forever, because he's really, Bob says he's done a great job, and I'm proud to work for Major League Baseball, and Bud and DuPay and Mike Port and everything. And when I first got off the field, Bill, we talked about it. My first year was tough when I got off the field, because to be off the field and then going in the umpire's room, that was a big change. But I've become acclimated to it now, and I like it.
It's just like a player retiring. It's tough to go back to the ballpark without throwing that uniform on. I would imagine tough for you to come to the ballpark, sit up here with us, watch us, nitpick the umpires up here. But it is tough to sit and watch when for 37 years you were down there right in the mix.
And you were part of it, and that the first year was going into the umpire's room with your former peers and everything. It was tough, and my 5,162nd game was right here.
That's right.
Sunday afternoon, San Diego was here, and my family, Rosemary, my boys, Kevin and Stephen, and all the rest of the family it was a big day for me, and I don't think I realized at the time that when I walked off the field that that really was it.
It takes a while to make that adjustment. It really does. Yeah. I mean, this game gets into your blood, whether you're a player or an umpire.
Absolutely.
And only Bill Clem has umpired more games than the man in the booth with us, as Casey McGee calls it in. Now, we talked about Bruce Fleming and his thoughts on technology. How about Fieldon Colbreth, the home plate umpire tonight? Here's what he had to say.
I embrace the technology for a couple reasons. Years and years and years, there's always been something that comes down the pike that's going to change the way that umpires, baseball players, and the fans view the game. At the same time, the same thing that people thought that umpires should be scared of is the very thing that gave them all the credibility in the world. That camera has never ended up being our foe. It ended up being our friend, because what it does 99.7% of the time is prove that we're 100% correct. 99.7%, 100% of the time. It proves that we're correct.
And I love that thought, and that's something we discuss here quite often, that the technology actually, as Fieldon Colbreth said, advances the umpires and how good they really are, and how many calls they actually get right every night.
Well, and that's the thing, particularly on the bases. How many times have we gone 3-4 replays without being able to tell safe or out? And ultimately, when it comes down to that, how can you argue? You really can't.
Well, and I really like the attitude of Fieldon Colbreth. That's really how look, technology's not going away, is it, Bruce?
No.
So it's here to stay, and you have to have that attitude about it.
And like he said, you're going to work with it. It's going to get better as years go. It gets better and better, and it makes the umpiring better. I don't think umpiring's ever been better than it is now, and I think it's the training that comes from Major League Baseball and the development program and everything, and with all the people that work in the supervision and everything.
There's a swing and a miss. And Dave Bush gets through the order. 1, 2, 3. A strikeout for Bush to end it. All tied at 1 as we head to the bottom of the third inning. By Ho-Chunk Gaming, Wisconsin, your ticket to more. Back at Miller Park, Milwaukee. There's a big hat on a rainy night. That's a rally cap right there. I like it. Jody Garrett ready to lead off. All tied at 1, the Brewers and the Braves. Garrett, Edmonds, and Fielder. Garrett hit a shot his last time up. Line drive out, sent Henske to the wall in left field. And a bouncer to the right side. Prado, easy play. And 1 out here in this third inning. Well, Jim Edmonds in the 3-hole tonight. Ryan Braun cannot play. And the Brewers also made some news on the disabled list, sending Carlos Gomez to the DL. It's interesting that J.J. Hardy also placed on the disabled list. His is retroactive to May 5th. Gomez retroactive to May 6th. So the two guys involved in the trade, in Carlos Gomez and J.J. Hardy, out of action for a while. They may not play before that series, that interleague series, occurs next weekend.
And both hurting themselves on head-first slides into the bases. Gomez back to second base, J.J. Hardy into third base. It's amazing how that works that way, isn't it? Yeah.
So no Gomez, no Braun. And Edmonds a sinking liner, and that is going to fall. Jim wasn't running right away. He will end up at second base. Edmonds thought it was an out when it left the bat. And that'll be a base hit for Edmonds, filling in for Carlos Gomez in center field.
Yeah, Nick McLeod is a pretty sure-handed center fielder. That ball must have knuckled on him out there because he just kind of got in the glove and knocked it down. You can see really unsure about it. Actually, that ball bounced in front of him. He did a nice job. Oh, knocking it down a little bit. It might have been a triple. But Edmonds into second base with 1 out.
So that'll go as a double for Edmonds, a 1-out double. Prince Fielder, the batter. Prince grounded out his last time up.
Now, Bruce, I'm interested to ask you why the second base umpire when there's a man on base, particularly second base, moves to the infield, and before that, with nobody on, he's in the outfield.
Well, because there isn't any play now. If there's a pickoff, he's got a better angle being in the infield. With the throwback into second base, he takes the ball right into the bag. If he's behind it, if he can be blocked out by the shortstop or whoever, in this case it would be the shortstop because of the way the infield is overshifted here.
He's pretty close to that hitter. He's got to be on his toes.
Oh, absolutely, and especially a hitter like Fielder. Fielder can hit a shot up there. And every once in a while, umpires get hit, and I've been hit a few times. It's not a lot of fun.
And that's a base hit if it hits an umpire in the infield.
And the ball's dead.
Right.
If he's behind the infielder and it hits him, the ball's alive.
It's a live ball, right?
Yeah. You don't want to get hit. I got hit in San Francisco one day on a day game, and a guy by the name of Gallagher hit a line shot. And we had a runner on second that would have scored a run, and of course the runner couldn't go anywhere because he has to go back where he was. And they weren't real happy about it.
Dead ball in the infield,
yeah.
And a live ball in the outfield, and
yeah,
and a bruise to show for it.
Gallagher gets a hit, but no RBI, right?
No RBI.
Yeah, you got to hit, yeah.
And they're saying, Fleming, you got to be on your toes out there.
They came on my shin. It got me in the shin, I think. And Fielder is on base. That's my niece, Mary Hurt's favorite player, and I'll tell you how good he is. I brought her to the game last year, and he had time for her outside the clubhouse and signed for my other nieces, Pete and Julia Hurt. And
you got some shout-outs in, huh? Look at you.
He's turning into a TV guy.
Well done. Look at you.
Now, just off the record, just between us,
yeah.
Did that give Fielder, maybe a little better strike zone that night?
Well, no, because I was in the booth. I can't help it.
You have influence, though,
But he
wasn't paying it forward. You're just saying he's a good guy. He wasn't, looking for a little kickback.
You know what? They were. Ryan Brown came out and signed some stuff. I mean, my niece Mary was. She didn't have an idea that I had set it up, and it was really neat. And they're great kids, and they're great fans.
And that was the night that all those borderline pitches went for balls.
Right.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. Here's Casey McGee now with 2 on.
Mary's got a cat she named Prince, so they named the cat after the big guy.
You might not want to tell Prince that story.
A lot of things named after Prince around Milwaukee. Fielder at first. Jim Edmonds out at second. 1 man out. McGee trying to put the Brewers on top. And that one skips away from McCann. Both runners will advance. And that knocks the Braves out of a double play opportunity on a wild pitch from Tim Hudson.
Tell us what you're looking for. Field and Colbert getting out of the way on a play like this. What's he looking at right there?
Well, he wants to get out of the way of the throw, a possible throw to third base. And his rotation is away from the throw. Just like it is when there's a foul ball. He follows, gets out of the way to catchers.
Is he watching the ball? Is he watching Brian McCann, which way he's going?
Well, he picks up the ball, but he's more concerned about the catcher because he doesn't want to be in his line of throw.
So the bases are loaded now for the Brew Crew, and here comes Greg Zahn. Zahn has 2 home runs this year, and both of them came on the last road trip out west. One at Dodger Stadium, his first of the year, and the other at Chase Field in Phoenix. Bases loaded, 1 away, all tied at 1 here at the bottom of the 3rd inning. Zahn tied up. Zahn singled his last time up.
Pretty much the same location where he got his base hit his first time up, down in the zone.
5 career grand slams for Greg Zahn. That's a lot, especially for a guy who has spent most of his career as a backup. There's a bouncer. Braves have a chance for 2. Prado to Infante. The turn in time, called by Marty Foster. A double play to end the inning. Marty Foster with Zahn crashing it on him. Makes the call for the out, and the inning is over. We'll break that one down when we come back with Bruce Fleming. Let's take another look at it, just how close it was.
You can see the foot on the bag, the ball in the glove, and Zahn not yet at first base. The positioning for Marty Foster.
That was a great call, and that's a tough call. And he was stationary, saw the whole play, and Ken came out and fussed a little bit, but it wasn't, a big argument.
Jason Hayward, a base hit to right, so a leadoff single for the Atlanta Braves. All right, let's just take a look at that play again in real time. If you've seen the replay now, you've had the benefit of that. But this is the real-time replay and the call that Marty Foster has to make with Zahn crashing it on him. And we were talking about technology and how it cashes in an umpire. He absolutely got it right by an eyelash.
Yeah, and you could see at the end of the play how Foster was stationary on the ground. He's not moving. You do not want to be moving on a play because then your eyes move. So mechanically, he was right on the money.
Looks like he was throwing a punch at Zahn down there. Didn't miss him by much, did he? And check out the positioning of Marty Foster. He's got a good look at it. Zahn trips over the first baseman. And check out Marty. Oh, look out, Zahn.
That was a good call. But Zahn rolls into that double play with the bases loaded and a big opportunity lost for Milwaukee against Hudson. So the Brewers have now left 5 on base in the last 2 innings, and this game's still tied at 1. Jason Hayward at first. McCann doubled his last time up against Dave Bush. And that one misses outside. Two balls and a strike. And now Bush looking for that ground ball. Possible double play. McCann pops it up. Slicing over to Garrett in left. First out. Well, Marty Foster, a Wisconsin resident, and has 11 years of Major League service time. We asked him about plays at first base. Here's what he had to say.
They're tough calls, but it's what we get paid for, is those tough calls. You listen for the foot hitting the bag, or you're watching for the foot to hit the bag, and you're listening for the pop of the glove. And these days, with the quickness and the speed of the runners, you know when they're up to bat who's fast, who's medium, who's slow. You know where the ball is hit, how it's fielded, if that throw is going to be an easy play to make at first base. If the guy's running, is it going to be a hard? Is it in the hole at shortstop? All these things go through your mind when you're working first base.
Basically doing a little scouting report,
right,
and knows the players that he's dealing with. Marty Foster.
Now, being as far from that play as he was a good distance from first base there. Can he actually see the foot hit the bag and hear the glove when the ball hits it?
Absolutely. He was inside the line, and his angle had the ball in the glove, and he's got the foot coming down on the bag, and you know, like Brian said, it was a tough call, and it was the right call, and he made a great call.
Hayward takes off. Pitches down and out. No throw by Zahn. Hayward steals the bag. He got a great jump and a tough pitch for Zahn to throw on.
And first stolen base for Jason Hayward, and he didn't have a very big lead, but a great jump. I think Bush forgot all about him, and Greg Zahn didn't even bother.
Hayward's been down with that groin strain, and obviously he's healthy as he steals his first base of his major league career, the 20-year-old rookie. Now he's in scoring position. And lost to the right side. Fielder's got it, but a long way to go for Bush. Out number 2. Hayward to third with 2 outs. That leads us to our AT&T trivia tonight. And we're asking, in what year did the AL and NL umpires combine to work in both leagues? Don't answer that, Bruce. You're chomping at the bit. Bruce was part of that conversion. A National League umpire until the conversion. Chew on that for a little bit. We'll have the answer next inning. But that had to be something that, I guess for you, being from Milwaukee, you got a chance to umpire a game in Milwaukee eventually. And being a National League umpire when you started, you didn't get that opportunity.
Well, the Brewers came in the National League, what year?
98.
97, 98. And I got home, 3 or 4 of those years before they merged. I got home a lot more. Once we went to 30 cities, it thinned you out a little bit.
Obviously, the biggest difference between American League umpires, at least early on, and National League umpires, the old balloon chest protector. The big balloon, the thing that they held.
Yeah.
Did you ever use one of those?
I used it out of the umpiring school, and in my first year, part of that year, and in the early 1980s, they had the grandfather clause. If you had it, you could use it. But all new umpires coming in after 82 had to wear the inside the protector that the National League wore.
Now the balloon chest protector, what do they call it? The balloon?
Yeah, the balloon, the outside protector.
Outside protector. I mean, actually you stood right behind the catcher and looked over him. Did that change your sight line and make it tougher to call strikes?
Well, what it did was, depending on the catching, it made that low pitch a tougher pitch to call. And
that's why they always used to consider the American League umpire a high strike league, right?
Yeah. Well,
National League, you're in the slot, you can see the low pitch better.
they labeled it high strike, low strike. But once everybody put that inside protector on in the 80s, everything came together, and you got away from that. Even though we were separate in leagues, American National League, it got away from the high and low strike.
That balloon thing, a lot more protection, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
That depends on how much the umpire was eating at that time, I guess, right? I mean, you could expand past the balloon if you weren't careful.
But you could get hit right in the heart with the balloon, and it didn't hurt.
Didn't hurt.
But you get hit with what Cubby's got on tonight, that protector. Depending where you get hit, you can get a pretty good bruise.
Well, first and third for Dave Bush, 2 outs. Game all tied at 1. Bruce Fremming is with us here in the broadcast booth tonight. And that one is lined to left. Jody Garrett cannot get there. He's able to cut it off. One run is going to score, and all the runners will advance. So a base hit and an RBI for Omar Infante. The Braves have a 2-1 lead on a 2-out hit by the Braves shortstop.
Yeah, off speed up in the strike zone, and Infante able to rip it down the line. What a play by Jody Garrett. If that ball gets by him and down in the corner, 2 runs potentially could score. A high curve ball up in his eyes, and check out Jody Garrett. If that ball gets to the wall, pretty good chance Hitsky might try and score. Stretches out and able to keep it in front of him, and Dave saves Dave Bush a run.
Braun is out tonight. Was hit on the elbow yesterday. Garrett gets the start for Braun in left. 2-1 Atlanta. On a 2-out base hit by Infante. Second and third now with 2 gone, and here's Conrad. Bush has a base open at first and the pitcher on deck. We'll see how aggressive he is with Conrad. That slow curveball, a swing and a miss, 0-2.
And same pitch that Infante was able to whistle down the left field line. That curveball still up in the strike zone for David. We haven't seen too much of that so far this year. He's done a nice job keeping that pitch down in the zone.
Conrad, a big home run hitter in the minor leagues for Atlanta. Getting the start for Chipper Jones tonight. Conrad started against the Phillies on Sunday. Jones was out of the lineup, and he was 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. We saw Conrad last night in a pinch hitter's role. He walked in the ninth. Actually came in to pinch run for Chipper Jones and walked in his only plate appearance. He gets jammed, a little flare. Here comes Garrett. He's got it. Inning is over. The Braves strand a pair. We'll take you deeper into the umpires game when we continue. 2-1 Braves.
Matthews, who was elected into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1978, played 13 of his 17 seasons in the major leagues with the Milwaukee Braves from 1953 to 1965. Let's send it back up to Bill, Brian, and Bruce.
All right, thanks a lot, Telly. Nice play over there at third by Brooks Conrad, rather, to Troy Gloss. A nice pickup over there at first as well. Check it out, Rocky. Conrad looks at the umpire. Yep, okay, fair. All right, let me go ahead and make this throw.
How about Troy Gloss making a couple of nice picks? And Bruce, tell us, it's not where the ball is caught necessarily, or where the body is. It's where the ball crosses the bag, right?
Right.
So his body could actually be in foul territory, but the ball could be fair.
Catch part of that bag and the ball goes foul, it's still a fair ball.
Now, the umpire points fair, doesn't say anything. If it's foul, he'll point and yell foul, right?
Right. The reason you don't yell anything, fair might sound like foul. So we don't say fair ball.
So if an infielder hears something, it's going to be a foul ball.
Yep.
And you can see right down the line, a great call down there by Ed Hickox. And incidentally, Ed Hickox, it's his 6th year in the major leagues as an umpire. He spent a lot of time in the minor leagues.
Yes, he did.
About 48 years old. He's only got now 6 years in.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to love the game to be in the minors that long, huh?
Tell me about it.
No, really. I mean, players can't last that long in the minors.
I had 13 years.
13 in the minors?
Yeah.
And 37 in the major leagues.
Yes.
That is a long road to the big leagues for the umpires, and just like players, they go through developmental period as Escobar sends one down the line. Hayward tracking it quickly. Escobar on his way to second with a double. So the young Brewer shortstop with 2 hits tonight. He drove in the only Brewers run in the 2nd inning, and here's a 1-out double in the 4th.
Now you like the approach by Escobar here tonight, just trying to put the bat on the baseball. This is what the Brewers want him to do, just slap it and run. Use your best asset, and that's his wheels. He can run very well. Just slices it inside that first baseline, and with his speed, able to get it easily with a double.
So it's Dave Bush now with Escobar at second.
Brian, I was thinking that last game I was here at 51-62. My grandsons were down in the batting circle, and they, Nicky and Chris Fremming. There you go.
A little bouncer to short. Infante looks Escobar back and takes care of Dave Bush.
They had him on the field, and they said play ball, so it was a family touch there that it was a big deal to me to see the kids up there and all the family, and it was nice for my grandsons.
And it was a great moment, and obviously we covered it here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And Bruce, truly one of the legends of the game, and we kid with him a lot. He comes to the booth pretty much every night and makes fun of us. Mostly makes fun of Rock,
right?
About his
there's
his
a lot
eyesight.
to make fun of.
Yeah, that's true. He's a good roaster for sure. I've done a number of events with Bruce as well, but I don't think it's a stretch by any means. I think it's a given that you're headed to the Hall of Fame one day, and how proud of a moment that will be for all of Milwaukee to have one of their own inducted into the Hall of Fame as an umpire as well.
Well, you just you don't think about it. It's nice that you mention it, but what will be will be, and I'm enjoying myself with MLB and working for Bud and everybody at MLB.
Well, we're glad to have you here tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We're really learning a lot about umpiring and more of the human element with the umpires, and getting to know our crew here tonight. 4-man crew. How about the resume of Bruce Fremming? 51-62 is what he referenced a moment ago. That's how many games over 37 Major League seasons. 5 decades as an umpire in professional baseball. And, of course, he's a native of Milwaukee. I'm sure you and Marty Foster have some good conversation. Share a brat and a beer every now and then. Good Wisconsin talk.
Marty's down in that Beloit area, and
Jerry Davis is up in the Fox Valley,
Jerry
right?
Davis, and Dutch Rennert was in Oshkosh.
Tim Cheetah
Cheetah's up in the Eau Claire area up there. And so we've got 5 or 6 umpires from Wisconsin, and over the years.
Ricky Weeks at the plate with 2 men out. And Escobar at second. Another nice play back there by McCann. He saved a couple of wild pitches from Hudson tonight.
It's one of those things that a catcher really doesn't get a whole lot of attaboys for. It's kind of part of your job. If you can't block pitches, you're not going to be in the major leagues very long.
No.
You got to protect the umpires.
Absolutely.
Yeah, umpires are pleased with blocked pitches for personal reasons. Thanks for keeping that one off me. That one's down and in. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I did.
Now just at the bottom of the strike zone, a little bit down and in. Didn't miss by much.
Fox Tracks. It's a group out of Wisconsin as well that powers Fox Tracks. Sports Vision and our buddy Jeff Jonas. Another nice block. Weeks is going to walk, but Escobar has to stay put at second base. So Hudson all of a sudden in a little bit of trouble here with 2 away, 2 men aboard. And here comes Jody Garrett. Our AT&T trivia last inning. In what year did the AL and NL umpires combine to work both leagues? And Bruce?
Year 2000.
There it is. 2000. You're right.
Right on the money.
Good job. You knew that. Now, what was that like for you as an umpire to have the merger between the two?
It gave us more cities to travel to, and it thinned out our schedule. Where you made 4 or 5 trips to the different cities working in one league, now we're down to 1 and 2 and working the 30 cities.
Did you like it better?
Well, personally, you know what? When you look back on it,
Jody Garrett bouncer to second, and that is going to retire the side. Hold that thought, Bruce. I want to hear about the merger of the umpires when we come back.
Game in Anaheim. Help send your favorite Brewers to this year's game by voting up to 25 times at Brewers.com. Vote early, vote often, and vote Brewers today at Brewers.com.
Tim Hudson leads off, sends Jody Garrett deep to left field. Garrett at the track, and that baseball is off the top corner of the wall. Comes back into play, and Hudson into second base. Well, that was close to being out of here. And we have Bruce Fremming with us here in the booth. And as we take a look at this replay, that's always a difficult call. And, of course, replay is now a part of baseball on boundary calls. And we almost had a situation where we needed a replay there, Bruce.
Yeah, one thing there, everything is really far back there. That ball had to come off the wall and come off the yellow pad. And that ball's in play when it comes off that yellow pad.
Yeah, right on the corner, comes back into play, and it can't be any closer than that. Another inch, and that ball bounces over the fence. But yeah, they're talking about check swings and some of the tough calls. It's got to be one of the toughest calls to make.
Well, what in this park now, that's a very clear call there, but in a lot of the parks, you've got the fans there, and you've got the possibility of fan interference. And it really makes it tough on the umpire because you can only get out so far on a ball that's hit.
And as you said, I mean, we've talked to you quite a bit about this. You run as fast as you can, but once the call has to be made, you have to stay still so your eyes can focus on the play that you have to call, right?
Right. And then when you've got the controversial call, whether a fan interfered or whatever, that gives the crew to get together after the argument to go into the dugout to the replay area, and they get the feed from New York, and they make the call. And once the call is made, the crew chief comes out and says what it is, there can be no more arguing. You cannot argue after he's ruled on the...
And the manager can't ask for a review, right?
No, the review, when they go in to look at it, they look at it and they make their decision. When they come out, the decision is final.
And the crew chief here is Gary Cederstrom. A bunt by McLeod. Fielder takes care of it. Speaking of the ground rules, we had a chance to catch up with Marty Foster, first base umpire, on the ground rules here at Miller Park.
Very minimal. It's a pretty closed ballpark. There's not a lot of nooks and crannies like there are at some other parks. No flower pots, no double fences. No, it's pretty tight and it's pretty easy.
When he says flower pots, Philadelphia. They have the shrubbery,
the garden out there
above the outfield wall, and it can be very tough to make a boundary call in that.
Well, and all the colors in there and everything. It's a nightmare for when the ball's hitting that area.
Well, in Wrigley Field now they have that basket. They didn't have that, 20 years ago? That had to be tough to make a call for a home run.
They've had the basket now, Bill, about, I would say it's going on 30 years.
30?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that basket became big help for us because once it's in it, I mean, you can see it bounce out. Mm-hmm. And the fans can't reach in there and get the ball first.
Runner at third with one away. Martin Prado at the plate. A bouncer to second. Weeks will look Hudson back, and he's got his man at first. Now, I want to ask you about the replay rule, and as that was put in a couple of years ago, are you a fan of it? Do you think it helps the umpires? Do you like the process of the home run replay review?
Well, I think when Bud took this on, and Bud Selig, the commissioner, when he took this on, a lot of thought went into it. And the boundary calls, because they're so tough and everything, when they limited it to boundary calls, home run, no home run, fan interference, no fan interference, I think it was great on baseball's part. I think because the way they've built the ballparks in a lot of areas, and Foster touched on it. This is a pretty easy ballpark here. You're not going to have fan interference here, but in a lot of the parks, the fans are right on the fence. And being right on the fence causes you a lot of problems.
2 strikes on Jason Hayward.
Now, is there any talk amongst the umpires on a close call, like a home run or not? I mean, is it automatic that you say it stays in the ballpark so runners can do their thing, or it doesn't really matter what's going on? Because that could be a tough thing. If you call it a home run and it's not, then where do you put the runners? That's a tough thing to call.
And that's what you have to be aware of. This, on something that you're not sure of, you'd rather keep the ball in play so that the runners end up where they would be if the ball is in play.
Right.
So, but sometimes you think, and like we said, umpires make mistakes. You think it's over the fence and it's a home run, and then you come back to it and it's possibly that a fan interfered with it or whatever, and then you just have to go with the ruling and with fan interference, where you thought the runners would have gotten without the fan interference. It's up to the umpire then to place where the runners would go.
Now, replay is such a hot topic in baseball, and implemented a couple of seasons ago on the boundary rules. And
I just came out of New York, and I was in the replay room for part of 2 days. And we had a replay one night when I was there. Very unusual. There aren't that many, but we had one, and they weren't getting the right feed. And the guys in New York did a terrific job, and they were dealing with the crew chief, McClellan. And McClellan was not on the same feed that we were in New York. I was in the replay room at Chelsea, New York. And we finally got it right where the foul pole and the ball was, and and they had a correct call. But the engineering and everything, everything's out of New York, and they do an incredible job. If you saw what's in that room and all the different TVs that they're dealing with to make sure, and you got like 14 games going at one time, and they get a buzzer, hey, we got a replay in Cincinnati, and they're right on it like you can't believe.
A view from inside the replay room in New York, directly linked here to the ballparks as Hayward sends one high in the air. That is hooking foul and into the seats. Now, generally speaking, I know you're a fan of the boundary rule. Now, would you like to see more replay? Would you like to see a different variation? Maybe an umpire in the press box that has access to replays? Where does it all go, you think, Bruce?
I like where Bud's got it right now. I like it at the boundary calls. You got the human element. Players make errors, umpires make errors. People are going to make errors, and you got the human element. On a ball that's determined to be a home run or not, that can be, very, very critical, and the replay can help you. But when you start doing safes and outs and everything else, and you get into a situation where you're starting to rely on technology and the machines, you're taking away part of the game.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And Hayward takes ball 4.
Yeah, good patience by the young left-hander.
So first and third now. Hayward aboard for the second time. And here comes Brian McCann.
To go back to the replay, Brian, we had a replay the other day where the ball hit to the outfield. Trap ball or not a trap ball. And it was obvious that the ball had bounced in front of the fielder. And there was a big argument, and the crew chief got the crew together. And in that situation, they changed it because it was so obvious. Very unusual, but they got the play right. And obviously it is the idea to get the play right. But what I'm trying to say, and if you get the right idea, you can't go to safes and outs and start doing replays, because the game is at 250 right now, average, and you're gonna make a long game out of it.
But of course, that is another big topic. Replay and time of game, I would imagine, are the 2 hot topics for Major League umpires. And Bruce Fleming joins us here. He's been with us all night. What is your take on time of games as far as the umpire's responsibility? Joe West was very public with his comments earlier this season.
Well, we got an older fella in the booth here with us tonight, Bill Schroeder.
Got that right.
So, and he can go back into the 70s when the pitching staffs had 4 and 5 starters, to where they went, the starting pitcher in a lot of cases went 7, 8 innings, a lot of complete games.
There was 10-man pitching staff.
Yeah,
now they're 12.
Yeah, and now you have a quality start that they start. I don't know if it's 5 or 6 innings. Then you got middle relief, you got long relief, and you got the setup guy. And when you look in the box scores, a lot of these games have anywhere from 9 to 12 pitchers. It's going to slow the game up. Anytime you bring in that many pitchers from the bullpen, it's going to slow the game up. So the game has changed. Pitching has changed the game on how the managers actually apply the pitching to the game. How many times this season, if you've got 1 or 2 complete games till now, I mean, that would be a lot. I mean, they don't pitch a complete game anymore.
Well, plus hitters take a lot more pitches than they used to. Pitchers are throwing a lot more pitches, so.
Little fly ball to Weeks, and the side is retired. So Dave Bush able to get out of a jam there. He strands a pair. And we are headed to the bottom of the 5th. Edmonds, Fielder, and then Casey McGee. 3, 4, and 5 coming up for Milwaukee. family of instant scratch games. Odds are you'll like them. By Airtran. Go. There's nothing stopping you. And by GMC. We are professional grade.
And tonight's Tower of the Game winner is the Hutch in Grafton if they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours. 902-4572. The Hutch gets 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and our good friends at Miller Lite.
2-1 our score. The Atlanta Braves lead the Brewers here in the bottom of the fifth inning. And Jim Edmonds is ready to lead off. Well, the Brewers have had a ton of base runners in the last 3 innings as Edmonds slaps one for a base hit. Edmonds hitting in the 3-hole tonight. And a first pitch base knock. By the way, for Edmonds, the first time he's been in the 3 spot in the batting order since 2008.
And he's got 2 hits. So feeling comfortable in the spot. Middle of the order for Edmonds tonight.
So Edmonds now on the bases for the second time. His second hit and aboard for Fielder and McGee. Hudson misses inside. Well, we were talking last inning about pace of game and time of game. Bruce Fremming joining us here as our broadcast is dedicated to the umpires tonight, covering a lot of areas, not just positioning of umpires and some of the inner mechanics of the umpires on the field, but some of the bigger issues like the replay rule and the pace of game. Now, Bruce, what would be your answer to this response? If umpires called more strikes, the games would go faster. That's not my response necessarily, but what would be your reaction to that? It's more Bills.
You see, now if I asked that question, he'd give you a different answer, I guarantee it.
All right, so if umpires would call more strikes, Bruce, the pace of game would be increased.
My answer to that is the pitchers have to throw strikes. The umpires want strikes. We like pitchers that throw strikes because it keeps the game moving. Somebody's going to hit the ball or they're going to strike out. The game moves when the pitchers are throwing strikes. And you go back in history, and the guys that threw strikes and won a lot of games because they threw strikes. Walks, slow the game down, everything. But you have the plate to work with, and they have to throw it over the plate.
Umpires in general, those that I've spoken with concerning pace of game, time of game, don't look to us. Look to the players.
Well, that's exactly right. We talked about, the game has changed to the point where it's all about working the count, on base percentage, making the pitcher throw a lot of pitches, get their pitch counts up. It's one of those things, and that's what's happened.
And the other thing that's happened while we're changing hitters here is the fact that guys are stat conscious a lot more than they were 30 years ago. 10-1 game, the guy still wants to get a base hit. And, they're not swinging to make outs. They're swinging to get their averages up because the better your stats, the more pay.
And that is for sure. Casey McGee, Powerball home run number 7 last night in the 9th inning. Now he's up there in a spot to drive in some runs. The Brewers are down a run. First 2 have reached in this 5th inning.
And Bill, when you played, how many times did you hear when the score was 12-2 or whatever? Just throw strikes and let's get out of here.
Right.
But the guy doesn't want to throw strikes. He's worried about his earned run average, and he wants to pitch like it's a 2-1 game.
And the mentality of baseball. I mean, hitters going up there. You get a good pitch early in the count, you go after it. I mean, you ever watch some of the old ball games that they show on television, and a lot of 1, 2, or 3 pitch outs. I mean, it was normal. I mean, you go to a Houston Astros game at the Astrodome, 2 hours and 15 minutes. This guy's going up swinging. I think pitchers trusted their stuff a lot more back then.
2 balls and a strike on McGee. Tim Hudson has had a lot of base runners behind him, but the Brewers have only been able to scratch across 1 run thus far. Milwaukee has stranded 7 runners already, and we're only in the 5th.
See, I was an umpire's dream, Bruce. I swung at everything.
First pitch hacker.
Yeah. Ball strike didn't matter.
Bouncing ball to short. Infante to second. The turn. Easy double play for the Atlanta Braves. Well, that'll certainly help the pace of game. We talked about pace of game with Field and Colbert. We wanted to get his opinion. Take a listen.
About all you can do is just keep the game flowing the best you can. You know, make sure that the downtime is just as quick as it can be. You know, make sure that you're not doing anything to slow it down. You know, if there's a foul ball right around the plate, I typically try to get out there and get it as quick as I can. Don't wait on the bat boy. You know, I want to get out there and get things moving, and I figure if I'm moving around, the bat boy will move around, and everybody else will see it and maybe play off of it a little bit. But the truth is, you know, the game, it takes the time that it takes. You know, you do your best to keep it moving, but the truth is you can have an unbelievably fast-paced game taking place, but now all of a sudden you lose your 2 starting pitchers, and, you know, a reliever comes in and he doesn't have a great day, and then they have to bring in another one. And all that time that you had gained, you lose right there in just a, you know, a 2 or 3 out part of the game. So do the best you can to keep it moving, but then you just let the game play itself out the way that it naturally would, and you just try to stay out of the way of it.
That's tonight's home plate umpire, Field and Colbert. Bruce, what are some of the things you used to do to create a little pace when you work the plate?
Try to get the on-deck hitter when an out is made to get up to the batter's box.
Greg Zahn hammers one center field, but McLeod will run it down, and a promising inning ends up as a donut for Milwaukee. Hudson rolling right along. And a reminder, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Milwaukee Brewers. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of Bruce Fremming and Major League Baseball. Miller Park, rainy night outside Miller Park. Umpires don't have any trouble with that here in this ballpark. Rain can be the tough call for an umpire, but you don't have to deal with it under the roof. And here we go to the 6th inning. Dave Bush still on the mound. He's pitching well, but he's behind. Braves got a run on the second on an RBI double by Hensky. And then it was an RBI double by Infante in the 4th inning, and a 2-1 Atlanta lead.
Yeah, sometimes, Bruce, that could be a tough thing. When to pull the tarp or get the tarp out on the field. Shut down a game. I mean, game situation has to dictate that a little bit.
Well, to me, you know, you talk about the tough calls. To me, rain situation is the toughest call for me. or was for me, because you've got 40,000 in the house. How long do you let it rain? You got to worry about the field conditions and everything else. So, and the club wants you to play because they want the gate, and there's a lot of things that go into it.
Troy Gloss sends one deep to left. Fair or foul? That's the question. That is a fair ball and a home run for Troy Gloss. And it's 3-1 Atlanta. Gloss homering in consecutive games.
The ball was hit.
Yes, it was. Now the Atlanta Braves are just waiting for somebody in the middle of their order to get hot. Troy Gloss starting to heat up a little bit. A home run last night. Hit that one off of Manny Parra. And this one just inside that left field line. It was deep enough, just a question whether it was going to hook foul. What are you looking for, Bruce, third base umpire, on a play that close?
You follow the ball all the way. Make sure you pick up the ball.
If the ball disappears behind the foul pole, it's a fair ball, right?
Yeah, if it goes in front, it's going to be foul.
Good. I noticed on that home run ball by Gloss, Ed Hickox stopped running, got down on a knee, kind of like a sharpshooter, staring up at the foul pole, and he made that call fair. And a home run for Troy Gloss.
It's funny that you would mention a sharpshooter. When we were in the umpiring school, we talked to the students about, if you were sighting in a rifle, you're not moving. It's the same as sighting in a play. You're not moving. You get to see the whole play by being stopped. And Hickox is an instructor at the Wendelstedt School and excellent mechanical umpire. Knows what to do.
Now, is that mandatory for every Major League umpire every year, that 5-week course?
No, that's not even the minor leagues. They get into the system, into the minor league system,
right.
And that's the end of the schooling. The rest you learn on the job training.
So there's really no refresher course, if you will. I mean, do the umpire do they have the ability to go to that if they choose?
Yeah, well, they could go back, but you wouldn't go back because what happens is in the minor leagues and in the big leagues, we have spring retreats where you go over everything in mechanics, and they have a regular seminar, a refresher every year.
Dave Bush walking Eric Hinsky, and the third time Hinsky has been aboard in this game. A couple of walks and an RBI double.
But that seminar that you were just talking about, is that something that all the umpires are encouraged to attend every year?
Oh, they have to. The minor leagues bring all the minor league umpires. They have a meeting in Arizona for a good percentage of them, and then in Florida before spring training starts. That's in the minor leagues. In the big leagues, we all meet as we got a timeout here, we meet in Arizona every year for a retreat, and we go through everything in a 3 or 4 day period. The guys take physicals. And then we have meetings in the 2.5 or 3 days that we're there, and we go over everything. We go over coverage, ejections, why, everything that you can think of in umpiring.
Well, you go over rules, right, and interpretation situations. Now, I've been told that Hunter Wendelstedt is kind of the quote-unquote guru.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of. You got a guy at third base that teaches at the school, and we got a guy, Randy Marsh, worked at the school,
right.
And these guys know it. Every year they're at the school, and Charlie Relaford just came onto our staff along with Randy Marsh as supervisors, and these guys are excellent teachers because along with Hickox, they've been at the school every year. And Brinkman had a school when he worked in the American League. I worked with Brinkman in school for years as I worked at Harry's school, and you never get enough of it.
Bush has a runner at first, facing Omar Infante.
Sometimes understanding, the rules and the rule book is the easy part. Interpreting into a certain play. Sometimes there's some crazy things that would come up maybe once a year, once every other year, and it kind of catches people off guard. Reading the rule book, I do that a couple of times a year, and sometimes it's hard to pick out and find certain rules when you're watching a game.
Well, what's nice about the umpiring schools, when you're there as an instructor and a guy that's been around a while, they do things that, geez, you forgot this, you forgot that. I mean, the application of the rule. And the last thing we had to play out in front of the plate, a bunted ball.
There's a bouncer to short, chance for two. No, Escobar bobbles. Can Weeks turn it? He can. Could have been a disaster, but Escobar with Weeks turned it into something. And a double play for Dave Bush.
And we had the ball last night that was in front of the ball was in front of the plate that Rule had a chance to hit the bat. And the interpretation there, it hits the bat. And the bat is still, the ball's in play, and if the bat's moving, the batter's out for the interference of the bat. And it's those little things that they go over in the school, and as a guy that was around forever, when I'm in the school, you pick up stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a refresher course. That's all it is.
That was a play last night with Doug Davis at the plate, and he was bunting, and it was right in front of home plate. There you see the bat was dropped, and the home plate umpire, Ed Hickok, right on it.
Yeah.
Now pointing the ball fair.
Yeah. He's pointing the ball fair, and the bat did not come into play there at all.
It's a base hit by Brooks Conrad, so a 2-out single. I just want to go back because the point down was to say this is a fair ball, live ball, play it.
It's in play. Yep.
And if that bat hits that baseball right there.
Well, if the bat is still and the ball would have hit the bat, the ball would have been in play. If the bat is moving, now watch if you'll see here, but the ball's in front of the bat. You see that? And if the bat would have been moving and hit the ball, the batter would have been out for the interference.
And we had that call this year. Greg Zahn did that early in the season.
That's right.
He hit a swinging bunt. It looked as though he did it on purpose. He kind of threw the bat out there to disrupt the catcher, and he was called out.
But the average fan on the application of that rule is not going to know whether the bat is still or if the bat's moving. So it's just something like you had a tape of it, which is perfect for what we're discussing, because the bat did not come into play and hit the ball.
You think that's by accident?
No, I think
that highlight is there.
I think Brian did his homework.
There you go, Brian.
Yeah, I take the credit for that. That's our producer, Chris Withers.
There's about 25 people downstairs that do a lot of that work.
Yeah, we're not alone up here, by the way, Bruce.
I believe that.
Hudson on the ground to short. Another bobble by Escobar. Well, no damage, but a shaky inning. The Brewers get out of it. A home run by Gloss, and Atlanta has a 3-1 lead. Escobar driving in the first and only Brewers run. Meanwhile, for the Atlanta Braves, Omar Infante with an RBI double that broke a 1-1 tie. And then Troy Gloss to lead off the 6th inning just a moment ago, belting his second home run in as many days. And his 4th overall in our Cousins Subs game reset. It's 3-1 Atlanta. Brewers are coming up in the bottom of the 6th inning. Corey Hart, Alcides Escobar, and the pitcher spot due up. And no judgment call tonight on the Clements sausage races. Italian is a clear winner at the top of the heap tonight. Well, that's been a night where we have gotten inside the game of umpiring, if you will. Bruce Fleming is with us, and he'll be with us for our post-game instructional on Brewers Live. Any ideas where you're headed with that, Rock, at this point?
I think we're going to go down to the replay area in the visitors' dugout down there where the umpires walk through. We're going to try and get in there. I know we've been through there last year, but always good to review that area. Bruce is going to try and set up maybe a mock situation, get a replay going.
Excellent. We'll be here if you need us.
Now, Bruce, with your pull and your connections, you can make that work?
You may not get it done then.
I don't believe it.
You got to make a couple of phone calls. Put them on alert there in New York, if you don't mind, just for TV purposes. Corey Hart draws a walk. So the tying run is aboard. We're invited your text questions tonight. And here it is. I'm going to read it off the screen. Rock, who is your favorite umpire to deal with behind the plate?
I don't think there's any question in my mind who that was. Now, understand, I never got the opportunity to work with Bruce. Bruce certainly would be my favorite. Steve Palermo was the best umpire I ever worked with. He works with the umpires, right? Major League Baseball.
He's our heads-up program.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that kept up the pace of the game. Here, Steve Palermo running around, clapping, let's go, in and out, those types of things. It really got the players, going. I mean, he pumped them up.
Full of energy.
He was hands down the best umpire I ever dealt with.
Escobar tries to bunt, and that is foul. Now, you just mentioned that Steve heads up the Heads Up program. Explain what that is for our viewers at home.
Well, the Heads Up program is a program where if you had trouble here tonight, a pitcher hit a batter, and there's bad blood, and now there's a retaliation or a threat of a retaliation. That's all put in an umpire report, and it's sent in to Bob Watson, who then talks to Steve Palermo. And Palermo then, when Atlanta meets Milwaukee again, maybe in July or August, depending who the teams are, he sends out a heads up to the crew that's going in there and saying in April we had this between these two guys, and it's a heads up to make sure that the thing is over. And so if they came back in July and now you got an ugly situation.
A little background. Nice play over there. It's short by Infante, and they get the out at second base. Prado had to show that he secured the baseball. Gary Cederstrom was waiting for him to do that. And the out is recorded at second. That was some kind of play by the Atlanta shortstop.
Well, the Atlanta Braves are really flashing the leather so far in this series. That's a heck of a play on both ends. First by Infante to be able to get there in the hole and make a decent throw to second base. And then you got Prado not only catching the baseball, be able to keep the foot on the bag.
Foot out goes 6-4.
Now, Bruce, you as a crew chief, if you would get something like that, how would you handle that? Would you get both managers together perhaps or say something at the meeting at home plate?
I have had situations where I had a heads up. I had a situation in Chicago with the White Sox and Seattle that it comes to mind right now, and I brought in Piniella, who was at that time in Seattle, and the manager for the White Sox. And we talked it over in the dressing room, and I said, we're going to play ball tonight. And, it was a case that I had to use my credibility with them that they knew I meant business. And I told them if they want to fight, go in the hallway right now and fight. But on the field, we're going to play baseball.
Anything happened?
And it worked. It's most of the time. And then I was involved in the Veritech Rodriguez thing in Boston years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, where they got into it, and both teams were out there and everything else. And when it was all over, I got both managers together and said, these two guys are gone from your club, these two guys are gone from your club, and that's the end of it. Anybody steps out of line, this crew is going to take care of it. And we didn't have a problem the rest of the weekend. So you get a lot of help from the managers. If the managers you're controlling their athletes and their emotions, that's a big help. Managers can be a big, big help to the umpires in a situation like that.
The heads-up program, so a little scouting report, if you will. That's interesting. 2 outs here. Saw Craig Counsell roll out to first. Escobar now at second. Ricky Weeks trying to take Dave Bush off the hook. Bush pitched well. He went 6 innings. 7 hits, 3 runs. And he is behind at this point. Brewers have had a ton of base runners tonight.
How about the Reds and the Pirates? A one-hitter tonight by the Reds, whoever pitched.
It's a 9-0 final. Reds beating the Pirates in Pittsburgh.
One hitter.
Did Milt Pappas throw that one? Is he pitching tonight? That one's driven to center. This one's got a chance. Backing up is McLeod at the track, and he makes the catch. Ricky to the wrong part of the ballpark. And a long, loud out. The Brewers come up empty again.
It's over. And at that point, they know they're going to be ejected. So anytime you see an umpire talking and you say, how do you talk to the umpire? You talk to me just like I'm talking to you right now. But if the argument gets heated and really starts to get heated, you still have to stay within the boundaries of you can be upset, but you can't get personal.
And getting personal will get you an early trip to the clubhouse. And the man in the visiting dugout has taken that trip to the clubhouse more than any other manager in the history of the game, Bobby Cox.
Now, Bruce, has Bobby Cox ever beaked you?
No.
Explain what beaking is.
Well, that's, I would imagine it's hitting you with your hat or whatever.
You told me what that was.
Yeah.
With the bill of the hat, if he gets too close, he starts hitting you in the face with it?
Well,
I guarantee Bobby Cox has beaked you before.
No,
have you ever thrown him out?
I think maybe 3 or 4 times. And I'll tell you about him. He's been chased a lot of times, and I don't think anybody more than him would know that why he got chased. But if you got a flat tire the same night you chased him and you were in the parking lot, he'd help you fix the tire. So, between the white lines, very competitive and wants to win, and you take them outside the park, and is as good a guy as there is. So,
does reputation have anything to do with that? I mean, for a player, I mean, if a guy has a reputation being a hothead and getting thrown out a lot, does that have any bearing on it?
Nate McLeod sends one to shallow left.
I guess what I should say, there are certain players get a little bit more leeway.
Absolutely. I mean, it's you got people that never argue, and if they ask you in a pitch, you're gonna listen to their beef and whatever. And then you got guys, chronic complainers. And I go back to when I started. Several players that are still in my mind, and without bringing them up or whatever. I can remember who they were, and the umpires all knew who they were. They were the same guys always complain. And the best way to say it is 95% of the guys deal with you the right way. You deal with the other 5%.
You know, that was one of the best lines that we used all season long. We got a lot of mileage out. You know, don't beat me, Schroeder.
There's a base hit by Martin Prado. And they single to center with one out. Mitch Stetter in the game for Dave Bush. Now, when we say, don't beak me, B-E-A-K is what we're talking about. Now,
right.
Now, I noticed on that last reel there, now this is a beaking right here, as John Smoltz is. Now, that's a beaking right there. See how his the bill of his hat.
Yeah, the bill of his hat.
That's a classic beak. Yes.
I've not been beaked.
You've never been beaked.
I've never been beaked.
The man who introduced the term to us.
I've had a lot of guys that have been chased, but I've never been beaked.
He's acted like he's never heard that term before. That's your line.
It might be because, a height advantage situation. It could be it.
Right away you want to get personal. I mean,
you're going to throw me out. Did you throw people out with your right hand or your left hand? Or both?
Whatever was convenient. I got them both ways.
That's great. Well, we saw that graphic of Bobby Cox. He's been ejected 154 times, and that is a Major League record.
It's almost a full season.
We do need to mention, though, that
he missed a whole year, didn't
Bobby
he?
Cox has managed. This is his 29th year, so a little context is appropriate.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say it. I like Bobby Cox. I respect what he does. He knows the game and this and that. And I never, when I had to chase him or eject him, that was just business. And business is business. And the next day was a new day with Bobby.
Bouncing ball that is through for a base hit. On his way to third goes Prado, and no throw made. So Jason Hayward in his return to the lineup is having some kind of night. That's a second hit. And the Braves have runners at first and third with just one out.
Well, showing you that he can handle left-handed pitching. I mean, Mitch Stetter, tough on lefties. He gets that pitch away from him and just able to get it out of the reach of Prince because he was holding the runner. And he pulled it, but he's big and tall enough with his long arms, able to hook it in the right field.
2 hits and a walk for Hayward, and a stolen base. And now Mitch Stetter is in some trouble here.
Who's the best hitter that you had ever had a chance to work with?
Oh, there were several.
If you had to pick one.
There were several. Hank Aaron, I had him in the twilight of his career with Atlanta, and then he ended up with the Brewers. But as a fan, I saw Hank, and then I saw him play. Incredible hitter. Rose was I mean, you get 4,200 some hits. That's a pretty good hitter. Clemente, just a terrific ball player. But there are so many. Tony Gwynn was it was like a magic wand with Tony with all the hits that he got, and on and on. There's so many good players and so many good hitters. But I'd have to put Hank Aaron. He hit for power. He drove in runs. He had 755 home runs, I believe, whatever it was.
Yep.
And you put Hank was in a small market. You call Milwaukee a small market. You put him in Chicago or New York. I mean, it would have been incredible, all the headlines and everything. And as it was, he still, commanded all the respect from the baseball people. And I just think he was an awesome player. And to see his buddy Eddie Matthews put in the Hall of Fame here, or whatever it is, Wall of Fame. I knew Eddie because he managed Atlanta when I was umpiring. And I came into County Stadium in the 50s as a fan. And Eddie and Hank and Felix and Johnny Logan and you could go on and on, Adcock, Bruton, and Crandall and everything. I was a big fan of the Milwaukee Braves, as were many people. And Eddie was an incredible power hitter. And he had, I think, 511 home runs.
That was a ceremony earlier today. Felix Mantilla and Eddie Matthews inducted into the Braves Wall of Honor, and it was great to see Eddie Matthews Jr. here in Milwaukee to accept that award. Weeks cannot make the play, and another run is going to come home for the Atlanta Braves. So it's 4-1. McCann drives in the run, and that is 3 consecutive hits against Mitch Stetter, and that's going to be it for Mitch Stetter as Ken Maka is on his way and makes a call to the bullpen. So Atlanta has tacked one on here. It's 4-1 in the 7th. Still just 1 out and 2 on. We'll take a timeout.
Three days, checking in and out of a hotel, getting a rental-car, just the grind of travel really wears you out. And not to mention that you're away from your family for very long periods of time. Matter of fact, we're on a stretch now where we don't get home for 21, 22 days. So very, very tough. To me, that's the toughest part about this job.
Ed Hickox, and he's married with 2 children. His wife, Lisa, he's a Florida native, and when they talk about the law on the field, that's Ed Hickox. He's also a sworn police officer in Florida. Works as a detective with the Daytona Beach Shores Police Department, so he truly is the law on the field. And you can see how being away from home for long stretches of time can have an effect. Situation at hand here. We got 2 on with 1 out. Todd Coffey is in the game for Milwaukee. Mitch Stetter comes on, gives up 3 consecutive hits, an RBI single to McCann. And Coffey is in here to try to get a double play ball from Troy Gloss. Slices one to right. Backing up is Corey Hart. He's got it for the out. Hayward does not tag.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Jason Hayward went halfway. You know, if you go back maybe about 10 feet from second base, even if that ball gets over Corey's head, he's going to be able to score. He's got pretty good speed. He needs to be at third base.
Instead, he stays at second, first and second with 2 outs now for Coffey. And it's Eric Hinsky. See the numbers on Coffey this year, 17th appearance and a .235 earned run average. The Brewers will have the middle of their order coming up in the bottom of the 7th. And now the Braves' lead is at 3.
I think it was interesting, Hickok's talking about they're out for 20 days. In 1979, through bargaining, we got vacations in season. And now they get 4 weeks off during the season, and they're spread out. When we started in April at that time, when I first came in the big leagues, you might not get home the whole year except for the All-Star break, depending where you live. So that's a big change, and it's a good change because it gives a guy a chance to be with his family. So
that is the real human element of it for these umpires, being away from home. And as Bruce mentioned, there is vacation time now, but that's probably the best way to stay connected. Ed Hickok's locker, he has his case with pictures of his family in there, his wife and his 2 daughters.
You don't have any idea what the 4 weeks does for you. I mean, it was the biggest change in umpiring when we got that, of anything. It gave the young umpires a chance to be with their family as they grew up, rather than saying goodbye in April and come back in October.
And no home games for the umps.
No. Unless you lived in the city,
2 men aboard. Coffey trying to get through this 7th. A run is in. McCann's RBI makes it 4-1. 10 hits now for Atlanta. Eric Hinske has had a good night. He has not been retired yet, and that one is driven into the gap. This is big trouble. That ball's going to bounce off the base of the wall. Hayward will score, and here comes McCann to try to score. Escobar's throw is one hopped in there, and safe is the call. McCann gets a corner of the plate. 2 runs in on the Hinske double, and it's 6-1 Atlanta.
Good job by the Brewers on the cutoff. And how about Greg Zahn? I mean, he stuck that leg, that foot, right in front of home plate. It didn't appear that McCann was able to get there. Apparently, he was able to get there. Fielding Colbreth, on the call. Now, Bruce, comment on the positioning for Fielding Colbreth right here. He's kind of back. Gets a good look at the play. I mean, can he actually see if the foot gets in there?
He feels like he could see. He's got the whole play in front of him.
It looked as though Greg Zahn was able to, block that foot off. You can see Fielding Colby's got the head down, but everything, the shin guards and Zahn is right in front of him.
So 2 runs in on a double by Hinske. And Colbreth saying McCann able to get the corner of the plate. 6-1 Atlanta. Well, just like last night, the Braves come up with a big inning. Last night they scored 6 runs in the 6th inning. 3 runs here in the 7th.
Man, look at Zahn. I mean, he does that as well as anybody. It looked as though the foot of Zahn moved just a little bit, and Hinske got, or I should say McCann got in there. Positioning for umpires is a big part of what they do.
Big hop for Escobar. Infante retired, but the Braves do damage. 3-run score on 4 hits. It's 6-1 Atlanta. by the new Miller Lite Vortex bottle. Taste greatness. And by Toyota. Thank you for standing by us. For more information, visit buyatoyota.com. And our Miller Lite What's on Tap, the Brewers and the Braves tomorrow afternoon, a matinee here at Miller Park. It'll be the final game of the series. Giovanni Gallardo, and we're on the air at 11:30 for Brewers Live. The Phillies come to town Friday. Brewers will enjoy a day off Thursday. So we're on Fox Sports Wisconsin Friday, and then the weekend is on national television. You can see Saturday's game on Fox. New pitcher is Eric O'Flaherty, Rock.
He had a great year for the Atlanta Braves last year. He posted career highs in games. He had 78 games, but only 56 in the third innings. He is a left-handed specialist. Off to a very good start this year. O'Flaherty in 15 games, a 198 earned run average.
O'Flaherty will face 3 consecutive left-handed hitters: Jody Garrett, Jim Edmonds, and Prince Fielder. And the Brewers are in a deep hole now. Atlanta scoring 3 runs in the 7th, 6-1 Braves. Tim Hudson throws just 88 pitches and goes 6 innings, and despite 6 walks, allows just 1 run.
Yeah, Brewers left 10 stranded with Tim Hudson out there in the mound. Many opportunities for the Brewers, only 1 for 8. Check that, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position tonight.
That lone hit belongs to Alcides Escobar. He drove in the only run.
No options for right-handed batters for Ken Mako and Ryan Braun on the bench. And unless a really important spot in the ball game, I don't think it's even going to be a consideration to hit Ryan tonight.
Jody Garrett is 0 for 3, playing left field for Braun tonight. A couple of key injuries for Milwaukee. Carlos Gomez placed on the disabled list prior to the game. Adam Stern promoted from AAA Nashville. And Jody Garrett with a base hit. That's in the gap. McLouth on the run, and he cuts it off, but Garrett is into second with a double. So McLouth saves a triple, but it's a leadoff 2-bagger for Jody Garrett here in the 7th.
Yeah, we talked about O'Flaherty being very good against lefties, and Jody Garrett staying right in there on a pitch on the outside corner, just trying to reach out there and make contact, and hits a pretty hard one-handed out to center field for a leadoff double. Brewers now 3 consecutive innings where they've been able to get their leadoff hitter aboard.
Base runners have not been the problem tonight for the Crew. It's getting them in. And now Edmonds. Well, you figure this part of the lineup, Rock, plays right into the hands of Bobby Cox, who has plenty of left-handers in his bullpen. A string of 3 consecutive lefties with Braun out of the lineup. And O'Flaherty, who's been a good left-handed pitcher this year. But Garrett doubles. And the Brewers trying to get something going in the 7th.
Well, you know it's going to be a struggle with the 2 starters that the Braves are going to trot out there first 2 games of the series. Tommy Hanson and Tim Hudson, their 2 best. Who was only able to scratch out 1 run against the 2 of them.
Ball and a strike on Edmonds, who is 2 for 3 tonight. And a strike on the corner. Edmonds has a double and a single. Count even to 2-2. Well, Jim would like to get Fielder a swing at O'Flaherty with a couple of men aboard. Brewers coming off a road trip where offense was not an issue, scoring runs not an issue. But just 2 last night. Those came in the 9th inning, and just 1 tonight. And a big swing and a miss. Edmonds gone on strikes, out number 1. And we're talking umpiring tonight, and our text question, we asked the fans, What do you think is the toughest call for an umpire to make? And boundary calls, balls and strikes, check swings, or close plays. 234-234 is the text number. And so far, the fans have said close plays in the majority, 47%. And we have Bruce Fremming here in the booth with us. And what would be your call on that? You now have a chance to influence the texting tonight. Boundary calls, balls and strikes, check swings, or close plays.
Of those four, the check swings would be the toughest. Balls and strikes, we're trained for that. The boundary calls, we've got instant replay. Close plays, we're supposed to be able to call close plays. So I would say that the check swing, whether he went far enough or not.
There's a little flip to O'Flaherty for out number 2. Well, we put that same question to your crew here tonight. Here are their thoughts.
Check swing may be the toughest call in baseball.
You have the different color bats. You have the different swings, where you are in relationship to the bat.
You have something that you see very rarely. You have this bat that just happens to get out there just for a split second and then is pulled back, and you have to decide, did he offer that pitch or not?
Jim Gantner was on to something. Different colored bats.
Well, Fielder Cobra marking down a pitching change, and how tough is a check swing? Take a look as we go to break. We'll set up the new pitcher when we come back. Is it a strike? Was it? You make the call. The 7th inning, now 2 outs. And after O'Flaherty went through Garrett Edmonds and Fielder, Bobby Cox makes the change. Peter Moylan is on the pitch to face Casey McGee here with 2 away and a runner at third base.
Yeah, this Braves bullpen has been pretty good. A 341 bullpen earned run average. That's pretty good numbers so far this year for Bobby Cox pen. And Moylan doing a nice job this year.
Jody Garrett at third. McGee a chance to drive in a run. He homered here last night. And a breaking ball strike.
Sidearm, huh?
Yeah, it makes it tough on righties.
See the numbers on Peter Moylan this year. Look at that ERA. 2.13 earned run average. And as many strikeouts as innings pitched.
He's got 10 walks.
Casey McGee with a base hit. So an RBI single for McGee. Garrett scores. And it is 6-2 Atlanta. McGee continues to drive in the runs. That's his 31st, and that leads the ball club.
Now, it helps for McGee that he's always thinking right field and up the middle, even with a guy like Moylan who drops down. Most right-handed hitters have a tough time keeping that front shoulder in, but Casey does a nice job of it. And a 2-out single to score a run.
Only the second hit with a runner in scoring position tonight for the Brewers. And here's Greg Zahn. He takes a strike. And Zahn's barking a little bit. Zahn with a base hit. in the second inning. Rolled into a double play with the bases loaded in the third. That one of the big plays in this game for Atlanta. And Zahn goes to the opposite field. So a base hit. And the fire burning hot for Milwaukee in the seventh inning.
Yep, now the long ball. Get a couple of guys on, get back into this baby. Yeah, peck away. Don't try to get it all back at once. Boy, a nice swing by Greg Zahn, his second base hit. Taking that sinker going away from him right into left field. Watch his pitch. That pitch, a sinker tailing away from Zahn. He lets it get back in the hitting zone just a little bit and able to get on top of it.
2 more hits tonight for Zahn.
Well, he's really been swinging the bat well. And he can't do it much better than that. Hits it right off of his back foot.
So here's Corey Hart now. 2 men aboard. A long ball here pulls the Brewers within a run. Back-to-back hits with 2 outs. McGee's drove in a run. 6-2 Atlanta. And a strike from Moylan. Tonight, Corey is 0 for 2. He walked his last time up. Now with Carlos Gomez on the disabled list, opens up a little bit of a door for Corey Hart. He's been in that 3-man weave between right field and center field. That one's way outside. 2 balls and a strike. So Moreland has missed twice with breaking balls now. Does he dare challenge Hart with a fastball here at 2-1?
Well, he's got that good sink on his fastball, so Corey needs to make him get it up in the strike zone.
Hart is a good low ball hitter. The 2-1. And he spun another one out of the strike zone. 3-1 to Hart. Escobar would be next. Joe Inglet will hit for the pitcher. Hitters count for Hart. 2 on. On the corner. Well-placed fastball from Moylan.
Yeah, not much you're going to do with that, even if you swing at it. A perfect hit for Moylan on a 3-1 count.
Now the runners will get a head start here. 3-2 pitch. Corey Hart stays alive.
And threw him another fastball.
Tell you don't see many guys from that arm angle throw the baseball at 90 miles an hour.
Man, with a lot of movement on it too.
Not a chase ball 4, but don't want to take the chance. We'll reset it at a full count. The runners on the move here. And Hart into right field, a base hit. Here comes McGee around third, and he will score. A base hit and an RBI for Corey Hart. It is 6-3 Atlanta. 3 consecutive hits with 2 outs, and the Brewers will in fact bring the tying run to the plate.
Well, all 4 hits in this inning have either come to the opposite field or up the middle. Look at this approach by Corey Hart. A slider up just a little bit, not much, but a nice easy swing by Corey Hart, just trying to put the ball in play. Dumps it into right. Thinking right field all the way. That's a nice at bat for Corey Hart. And you can see where that pitch is. I mean, if you're Peter Moylan, you got to think that's a pretty good pitch. And Corey Hart able to get the end of the bat on it. Another 2-out single for the Brewers to cut the lead in half.
McGee had the RBI single for the second run. Now Hart using all of that 6'6" frame to reach out and poke one to right.
Yeah, Brewers not trying to pull the baseball against Moylan, and I'll tell you that will go a long way to get some base hits. Right-handers just cannot try and pull the baseball off of this guy.
Wendy's at the plate for Alcides Escobar. He's been a base all 3 times, had a single and an RBI in the second, doubled in the fourth, reached on a fielder's choice in the 6th. Big spot, 2 runs in, 6-3 Atlanta. Escobar trying to keep it going here. Well, you wonder if Corey Hart will be on the move shortly. Moylan takes a while to deliver a pitch to home plate, and Hart is a base stealer. Early in the game, you wouldn't consider it with a pitcher spot coming up next, but that spot will be from a position player in a pinch hit role.
As the game goes on, the job of the number 8 hitter changes just a little bit. In situations like this early in the game, you try and expand your strike zone just a little bit. Right now, Escobar needs to be very patient at the plate to allow England to come up with men on base.
Hart stays put, and a breaking ball strike to Escobar. Carlos Villanueva loosening for the 8th inning. And Fred Dabney indicates that he's ready. Runner takes off. Escobar takes a ball, and Hart is in there without a throw. That's a big stolen base for Corey Hart. The Braves content to let him run. And now a base hit will bring the Crew within a run. 3rd stolen base for Hart. And a hitter's count for Escobar. Soft liner, and it's caught by Prado. Inning over. The Brewers strand 2 more, but they pick up a pair. Pull within 3.
My responsibility as a crew chief would be to tell the guys that, well, we're meeting at 5:15 to go to the park. When we get here, really, the rain situation is the crew chief's responsibility. Making sure reports are filed in a timely manner. We go over certain rules and situations as a group.
Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief of this four-man umpiring crew. There's Gary, the second base umpire here tonight.
Bruce, what does it mean by reports?
Well, if you have an ejection or a disturbance of any kind, a report is made, and on an ejection, we'll just say the third base umpire had the ejection, which would be Hickox. Cedarstrom will check his report before they send it in to make sure it's complete, that something's not missing, like maybe thrown equipment during the ejection or whatever. So it's the responsibility of the crew chief to make sure that the report, when it goes in, it's final and it's complete. As far as the rain situation, like I stated earlier, the rain situation can be a tough deal, and they let the crew chief handles the rain. But when you do it, you're talking to your crewmates, what they think, what the condition of the field is, and you're working with the ground crew and everything. As far as going to the park, I think Gary covered it right. We'll leave at 5:15. You want to have lunch tomorrow.
He's kind of the traveling secretary of the umpire crew, right?
Yeah, and basically everybody does their thing, except when it comes to overlooking a report that has to go to the commissioner's office or to Bob Watson in the commissioner's office. Make sure it's complete and be on time and go over in the dressing room a situation like we went over tonight with the ball in front, with the bat and everything. Make sure they had everybody's on the same page.
Brooks Conrad sends one deep to right, and this one's not coming back. So the Brewers work so hard to get a couple of runs in the seventh. Villanueva gives one right back here in the eighth as Conrad belts his first home run of the year.
Well, you'd never know that the Atlanta Braves were having such a hard time scoring runs. And before the series started, the third fewest runs scored in all of the National League. On a high fastball, and Conrad able to pull the hands in and knock it out of here. Now to extend the lead, 7-3.
Conrad's been a big home run hitter in the minor leagues throughout his career. Hasn't got much of an opportunity in the big leagues, but regularly a 20 home run performer in the minor leagues, and he showed that power there. His second hit, and it's 7-3 Atlanta. And Melky Cabrera batting for the first time. There's Conrad. Bruce, back to the crew chief situation. How does one elevate to a crew chief? How many years were you a crew chief in the big leagues?
Right around 20. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, when Art Giamatti became president of the National League, I think it was 1988, he was there for 1 year before he became the commissioner, and it was at that time that I was named the crew chief. And you get a little extra pay, and I considered it an honor to be a crew chief, and I treated my guys right. I think that's a big responsibility, to make everybody know that you're behind them and that you support what's going on. And I think that's a big duty of the crew chief. You're not umpire for yourself. The crew looks good or bad how everybody does. And to the lowest seniority on the crew, to the crew chief and everything in between, you're a group of four that's working the game, and to get the job done and to work together is a big deal for MLB, because they want quality.
And to be a crew chief, obviously you have to have tenure. You have to have service time in the major leagues, as Field and Colbreth rings up Melky Cabrera for the first out. Are there minimums? You got to be 35 to be a president. Are there minimums to be a crew chief? What kind of borders are there to elevate to a crew chief?
Well, it depends. It depends on the seniority of the staff. Years ago in the American League, they had a staff that had a lot of young guys that were stronger umpires and whatever. And when the crew chief openings came, they didn't necessarily go with seniority. They went with what they thought was a stronger pick, and then and that's basically what the commissioner's office can do now. They can pick who they want as a crew chief and who they think will be their leader with the crew.
Now you work with the same crew all season long, right?
Yes.
And how do you work the same crew? Can you work with the same crew 3-4 years in a row?
Well, you can, but there's always usually there's a change of one guy always. You might get a couple of guys for. I had Winters for 6-7 years because everybody gets a pick, so you pick a guy. You pick a guy that you're comfortable with, and then they fill in the blanks with a young guy or maybe two young guys. I always like working with the young guys because I just like to see them develop, and I gave respect to the young guys, and they handle their own situations unless something got out of hand. And then as a crew chief, I didn't want to overpower them. They got an argument, let them handle their argument. If you got a riot, that's a different situation. But I think I like to show respect for the crew I work with, and I did. I mean, everybody out there can umpire, so you got to give them room to do their thing.
Nate McLouth at the plate for the Braves. One out here in the 8th inning. A run is in on a Conrad home run. And it is 7-3. And if you're just joining us, Bruce Fleming is with us, and we've been, weaving this game through the eyes of an umpire and getting to know these umpires. The 4-man crew tonight. Bruce will be on with us following the game as well for our Brewers Live instructional with Bill and Jerry. And
we're going to have to call an audible on what we're doing. We had some lighting issues down there in the tunnel. We're not going to be able to do it.
So you can't see the replay area.
Right, you can't get down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that play at first base that we saw earlier, that Marty Foster made such a good play. Talk about positioning and what you're looking for and hearing. How about that?
That'll be great.
Now I want you to get down on a knee just like he did.
Well, you can do it pretty easy these days. I mean, what do you do? How much weight have you lost?
I've lost right around 60 pounds, and with my doctor, Dr. Blake in Glendale, and
there's that play we're talking about. Like, you can get down on a knee. I don't know about getting back up, but down on a knee's fine.
He's really walking a thin line here.
Yeah. But don't throw him out. Then you and I are going to have to do all the work.
Yeah,
he's half the man he used to be, Bruce Fleming. Literally.
Well, Dr. Blake really helped me, and my wife went on the diet with me last July, and everything went good. He's got a cosmetic surgery and weight loss clinic over there in Glendale, and he's a terrific guy. And if anybody's looking to lose a few pounds, he's a terrific. He's been great for me.
Little commercial? Is that what that is?
Well, it's not. I get a little shake of powder next week for free or something.
You know how this TV thing works, though, don't you? You're doing well. How much you making on this deal?
Well, when you plug those restaurants, I know you're eating for free, Schroed. So.
I prefer a Titleist golf ball as well.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you, one of the responsibilities of the crew chief, I know you were pretty good. You always called me on the road, telling me where to go have dinner.
Yes.
Great recommendations.
Which is why he ultimately needed Dr. Blake's help.
That's exactly right. I just came out of New York, and I had to see Dr. Blake this morning, and he wasn't real happy with me. But I'll get off those few pounds that I got.
You're looking great. 60 pounds he lost. Bruce Fleming.
I took one of my suits into him today to show, what we had lost, and Euchre would say, and I'm glad Bob's doing well, by the way. Euchre would have made fun of that jacket. He'd have called it a hood ornament for my car or something, or a hood cover.
Yeah, one of the great roasts of Bruce Fleming. You were involved in that as well, and Bob Euchre. I remember he came in here and did the video, and it was
right.
It was about a 3-minute bit of stand-up comedy, just roasting Bruce Fleming. Literally, it was great.
Well, Euchre's a great guy, and I'm glad he's doing well. And I mean, that was major surgery, and he's already home, and I wish him well, and I can't wait for him to be back in the booth because we all like to be in the ballpark, and he's been with the Brewers, I think, now 40 years.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I wish him well. And
hey, we all miss him.
Yeah,
not the same around here without you.
And you wouldn't believe it. We're almost the same age. He looks a lot older than I do, but but you know what? One thing about Uke, and growing up, he's just a few years older than I am, but we both hung out at Borchard Field as kids, and that's basically.
Base hits right for Prado. And McLeod will end up at third base. So back to Borchard Field. Uke and
yeah, and you know what? And one day in the dugout, Uke and I was going over some names that I remembered, and I said the groundskeeper, Ed Pretlow. I mean, we remembered the same names at Charlie Grimm and Borchard Field, 12, 13,000 seats there. This was a great AAA city at the time, and that's why, obviously, it became a big league city. But Borchard Field was, I got many memories there. I was a ball boy and a bat boy there for about a year and a half. Charlie Grimm took me under his wing in June of 1951. I was about 13 years old, and I mean, it was the thrill of a lifetime, the shag balls.
I tell you, Rock, that is the one, the one connection from our day here and yesterday with the umpires and our process with the interviews and getting to know them. Of course, we get to see you pretty much every home game, but I don't know an umpire in Major League Baseball, minor league baseball for that matter, who doesn't love the game. I mean, love the game.
And I was, I hung out at Borchard Field. Once Charlie put me shagging balls, and Pretlow didn't want me to do it because I had to get a note from home and everything. But Charlie got me a job in center field shagging balls, and I used to take care of Al Unser's kid, who became Del Unser, played with the Phillies. I never knew that till I got to the big leagues, and Del Unser was. But it was a thrill for me every day to take the trolley bus down to 8th and Chambers and go in that ballpark, and I got many memories that I've never forgotten there. I mean, they had great teams. The Brewers had a great team in 51 and 52, and in the 51 season, they came home to a ticker tape parade almost at the end of the season. They had a great year, and I remember Charlie and the team getting off. I was down there and trying to get close, and it was exciting. I mean, it was a great thing.
All this whole game, you've been talking about umpires and everything. How did you first get involved in umpiring?
Well,
what was the story?
I was a freshman in high school, and I got cut off the varsity baseball team, and they had an advertisement in the paper, umpire stars of yesterday games, and 4 days a week, four games a day, 8:30, 10:30, 1:30, and whatever, 3:30. You made $14 a day.
Ricky Weeks fires to second. The return not in time. Another run is in for Atlanta, and that makes it 8-3 as Hayward drives in his first of the night, but on base for the fourth time. So you started calling amateur baseball, basically, is what it was.
Yeah, and it was, and $14 a day, 4 days a week was, $56. And as a freshman in high school, to me that was a lot of money. and I liked it. And then the next year I made the team as a sophomore in high school, and then I didn't umpire anymore until I got out of high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I picked up a Sporting News, which we all read, and I saw an advertisement for an umpiring school, and I went to Daytona Beach to the Al Summers umpiring school, and I've been in it ever since.
How about that? And you still have never worked a day in your life, but here you are.
I worked a lot of days in the minor leagues. I got to tell you what, I worked for funeral directors, picking up bodies and everything. I worked for Coca-Cola.
That's a perfect job for him. He was telling us that story. Yeah, you drove the hearse, man. That was.
Well, I didn't drive it. I was with a guy that did, but I never understood why we had to put a suit on to go pick the guy, the deceased up, because he couldn't see us. And but And I even remember the funeral. It was Ritter Funeral Home on North Avenue, 54th and North Avenue at the time, and he got a few bucks to do that. And all the different jobs I had. My brother-in-law got me a couple of nice jobs working, driving truck and parcels and furniture. And in the minor leagues, you had to work in the winter. You didn't have a chance. I could have never stayed in the game if I wouldn't have had a good job in the winter because. And
Villanueva drills McCann.
And
players back in those days. I mean, baseball players, major leaguers actually worked in the off season.
Yeah, and what you had to do is besides having that job, you had to have an understanding wife.
Hold that thought, Bruce. Another pitching change here. Villanueva is out. A rough night for the Brewers going on.
I don't think they're out to do that at all, but I know they're out there to do their job, and when you really look at it, they do a remarkable job. You know, you could look at it from 5 angles on the outside, but they get one shot to get it right, and more likely than not, they get it right, which is pretty impressive.
That is Randy Wolf, and of course his brother Jim Wolf is a Major League umpire, and Jim Wolf was the home plate umpire for Dallas Braden's perfect game on Sunday. So you talk about a player who understands the perspective of the umpire. That's Randy Wolf, and his brother Jim is a very good umpire. Oh yeah, Milt Pappas, huh? You had a chance to umpire a perfect game, and
1972.
You let one get away. Now, as the years have gone on, that was in 72, and of course Milt Pappas was a batter away, a strike away from a perfect game.
A pitch away. He had 0-2 on the 27th hitter.
But he just couldn't get that last strike in there.
No. And when he walked...
To no fault of your own, of course.
No.
You were just calling the balls and strikes.
I'm not a fan. I'm an umpire. The balls were off the plate.
Had he thrown a strike, he would have had a perfect game, but he was not perfect that day.
And he ended up getting the no-hitter. And the next day, Lou Boudreau said to me, I could have become famous. I'd have been the 12th umpire at that time.
Joe Gloss lines one to left, and that is a base hit. It gets by England. And everybody's going to score. Hayward in. Here comes McCann around third. He'll score. Jeff Suppan comes on, gives up a double to Gloss, who's had a big night.
See the rotation there?
Yep, guys moving down. The third base umpire going down the line. The second base umpire going to third. First base umpire going to second base. He's not going to be able to play at first. So you really don't need an arbiter in that spot. Well, not even close. You know, I guess if Joe England had to do over again, he'd play it on a hop. Clears the bases, and Troy Gloss in with a double. His second and third RBIs tonight.
Has a home run and a 2 RBI double in this game. It is 10-3. There's a drive into center that is run down by Jim Edmonds. Mercifully, this inning comes to an end. 4 runs in for Atlanta, and it's 10-3. Amazing season developing here. Talk about all or nothing. In Brewers wins, they are very good.
Yeah.
How about that? Nearly 10 runs a game in the 15 wins, but in the 17 losses, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing, you know, to look at those numbers and you try and put your finger on something. You know, you ask, you know, the coaches and, you know, you try and, you know, figure out why certain things happen throughout a baseball season. That's just beyond explanation right there.
And the Atlanta Braves come to town as one of the worst offensive clubs in the National League, and they have done severe damage in this series. 10 runs on 14 hits tonight, 8 runs on 7 hits last night.
Yeah, right after the Brewers left Arizona and the Brewer pitching staff shut down a high-powered Arizona offense. Those guys score runs in big numbers, and they didn't do anything against the Brewers pitching staff, and just the opposite here. And the Brewers' struggles at home continue, and Takashi Saito making his 13th appearance. A good start once again for another one of these Atlanta Braves relievers. They have been pretty good as a group.
Joe England batting for the first time. Came in on a double switch, and he rolls to first. Bruce Fremming is with us. He's been with us all night as we've gone inside the game with the umpires. And Bruce, I want to get back to the Mil Pappas game. 1972, Bruce was behind the plate. Mil Pappas is 1 strike away from a perfect game. Now, after that game, Pappas said, you know, they were off the plate, probably balls, but as the years have gone by, they've kind of gotten more toward the middle of the plate.
Now they're right down the middle, and I missed them, and I'm a bad guy. But, you know, I know he wanted the perfect game, but the pitches weren't strikes. And so the next day, Boudreau said to me, Lou Boudreau, the announcer for the Cubs and former manager in the big league, said that I could have become famous. I'd have been the 12th umpire at that time in the history of baseball to have a perfect game. And I asked Boudreau who the 11th umpire was, and he said he didn't know. And I said, that's how famous I'd have been.
Right.
But I've done a couple banquets with Milt since, and I always make sure I'm the last guy to talk. I don't.
You're going to get the last word, right?
I get the last shot.
Now, you and I did a luncheon together down at the Milwaukee Athletic Club. It was about 2-3 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
And I made a comment, in introducing you, that you were a part of 9 no-hitters in your career. Make that 11. My numbers were off. But how many of those behind home plate?
5.
5 of them? What was the last one?
I think the last one was Nolan Ryan. No, it was Jimenez of
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
It was against the big unit, Johnson, in Phoenix. And I had a no-hitter there.
Cardinals, Diamondbacks.
Yes,
right?
yes. And, most of the no-hitters, I knew I had a no-hitter in Chicago because the crowd started, they didn't have anybody in the ballpark, and about the 7th inning, people started to holler, and you look at the scoreboard, they make the scoreboard, they put the numbers on. There was nothing up there, so I knew there was but I didn't know I did not know he had a perfect game with the last hitter. Not that it would have mattered.
We're talking about Pappas now.
Pappas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I had Nolan Ryan's 5th no-hitter, which was in Houston on a Saturday afternoon in September in 1981. And he started slow. He was wild and whatever. About the 5th or 6th inning, he kicked it in, and the Dodgers never got a hit.
Ricky Weeks strikes out.
Now, you were also involved in 111. Now, I know that's right because it's in the umpire's media guide. So if that's wrong, that's not my fault. But postseason games, I mean, does any one particular game stand out? Postseason game?
Probably my first plate game in 1973. It was only my 3rd year in the big leagues, and it went game 5 since Cincinnati, the Mets, and I worked that game. And we had a riot in game 3 with a play at second base with Rose and Harrelson where they had to fight.
Yeah.
And both teams came on the field, and we had a lot of problems with the fans. And the series went 5, which at that time it was the best of 5. And I didn't sleep, I don't think, 1 hour the night before I had to play because it's a big game. I mean, one of them's going to the World Series.
Who was the crew chief in that game? Do you remember?
I'm thinking it was Eddie Vargo, and I think I was working with Vargo. And so the next, I think I got to sleep about 6 in the morning, and then I worked the plate, and we had all kind of problems in that series with the fans and with Pete Rose, and I think the players off the field game 3 because they were throwing things in left field, on the field. And so when game 5 came, I had the plate. It was an exciting thing because I had never worked a playoff before, much less the last game. And the Mets ended up winning, which was kind of an upset because they were into that big red machine already. But after that, the Reds came back and won a few more pennants in the 70s there.
How about your first World Series?
76 against Cincinnati, and it was the Yankees. Very, very cold World Series, temperature-wise. We started in Cincinnati, and we went to New York. The weather was miserable, and the last game I think we got rained out or froze out of one game in New York, and we might have had a couple off days there. And then when we finally played, it was really cold, and Cincinnati swept them 4 straight.
76 World Series. Bruce Fremming here in the booth with us. Kids are still hanging in there. Our friend up in the bleachers, though, he's lost a little bit of interest at this point.
Yeah, his throwback jersey from last night gone.
What's he got on tonight? I saw that jersey last night.
Acme Packers.
Oh, he's up. Phone's ringing.
Were you around when they were called the Acme Packers, Bruce?
Yeah. No, I wasn't around then.
Hello. Yeah, we just saw you sleeping on television. Oh, no kidding. Oh, really? That's our buddy sitting up there all by himself.
You got a nice seat up there.
Yeah. I bet that cooler's empty.
Jody Garrett pops it up. Inning is over. So 8 in the books. Up and at 'em. We head to the 9th. Back at Miller Park, and a little bit lopsided here as we head to the 9th. 10-3, Atlanta has the lead. But we're having some fun with Bruce Fremming tonight. He's been with us all night, and we've enjoyed going behind the scenes with the umpires. And Bruce, really appreciate your time here tonight. It's fun to do this because you get to come in and we hear your stories, and we do really appreciate the umpires and the umpires' work that they do. They're such an integral part of the game. It's fun to boo the umpire. It's part of the game. You've been booed before.
Absolutely.
You just got booed earlier, as a matter of fact, just for being up here.
But you know what? When you walked in the different parks and maybe you had a problem the night before or whatever, I've even used it as an introduction when I've given talks at dinners and whatever. So I feel relaxed. How about a nice big boo? Just to have a little fun. And people go crazy. And they get into it. And but that's all part of putting the equipment on. And the people pay $1 and they want to holler. And as long as it's done in good taste, I don't have any problem with booing at all.
And the great relationships that you have made over the years, not just with broadcasters and executives, but players as well.
Yeah, it's baseball. It's been my whole life in work, and I'm really lucky. I've been blessed that I could be in a job that I love so much, and it's a great game. And at first, I was devastated I missed the field, but time moves on, and you can't do something that you like forever.
Infante sends one deep left center field. England is on the run, and he's got it for the out. Now, speaking on the relationships with players, we caught up with Ed Hickox.
Personally, as an umpire, I really don't talk a whole lot on the field. I will say hi. I will be cordial if they approach me. I try to keep, hit a distance between the professional aspect out there, and that's kind of how I, personally go about it. I'm, very much cordial, but at the same time, I'm certainly not, buddy with anyone out there except my partners.
And that's kind of the way you have to do it if you're going to do this job successfully, right?
Well, I tell you a story about Jim Edmonds, who's on your ball club now, he was playing at St. Louis, and we had a dispute, and he got chased a couple of years before, and he's running out to his position one night. I'm working second base, and he said to me, "Don't you ever smile?" And I said, "I smile when something's something to smile about and everything," and that was kind of left at that. And so the next night I'm working first base, and he came in from center field in St. Louis, and when he went by, I gave him a big smile, and I made sure he saw it, and it broke the ice with us. We had a 2-year period where we didn't have much to say to each other, and after that, we smiled and it was over, and some guys like to talk and some guys don't. I mean, I like, between innings, a guy wants to talk to me, I don't have any problem with it. Eddie's approach, that's Eddie's approach. Every umpire is different, and whatever works for you, that's the way I would go.
Now I remember back in the '80s during the off season, Pete Vukovich, Charlie Moore, that gang lived here, you lived here, and I remember going to Children's Hospital every year. You played Santa Claus for the kids. We'd go around. You guys had a great relationship, but Vukie always tells me this story that you threw him out of a game when he was a pitching coach for the Pirates.
Yeah, he was pitching coach for the Pirates, and they had this flamethrower. I can't remember his name.
Loisel, I think.
Yeah, Loisel, whatever. And he didn't have real good control either. And he wanted a few pitches, and the old trick where the coach goes to the mound and he waits for the umpire to come out and move him. So I went out. And I said, "Come on, Vukie, let's go." And then he started about balls and strikes. He said, "What makes you?" I said, "Are you arguing balls and strikes?" And he said, "I said, I'll see you." And
that's going to go as a base hit for Cabrera. And runners at the corners. Please continue.
So Vukie said, "You're throwing me out," and I used a light profanity to tell him to get off the mound.
A light profanity.
Very light. And he said, "I'm telling Mr. Feeney on you." And
you just wanted to get his attention.
And his manager was Gene Lamont. Lamont never moved. Nobody come out and argue, and Pete left. And Pete and I have been friends for it's almost 30 years now. And I know his wife, and my wife knows Annie, and we did a lot of things together. We had a card club one winter and played at different guys' houses, and I did Santa Claus at their houses with their kids,
right,
with Gorman and Charlie and McClure, and we had a lot of good fun. And we bowled on Thursdays.
Right,
we'd hang out at Ray Jackson's during the winter and bowl on Thursdays. Uke would bowl with us once in a while.
Yeah,
those were great days, and Blue Mountain Road, a lot of fun there.
Times have changed. You can't have as much fun these days.
Yeah, I'm getting older now.
But point being, I mean, all that fun that you used to have, but you got out in the field, you still threw him out.
Yeah,
it's all business.
Business is business.
Now, there's a story. You have to tell me if this is a true story or not, or just, fabricated for entertainment. But there's a story with you and Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench was at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And, he was headed for the Hall of Fame. And true or not?
No,
I don't remember the story, really. It was something about
signing baseballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a banquet story, but I got a lot of mileage out of it. And
that's a good one.
Yeah. And he said the banquet story went like this. I sent some balls over for Johnny to sign in Cincinnati. He wouldn't sign them. And, again, this is a make-up story. So the clubhouse guy came back and said he won't sign the balls because he's in his home park. So I said, "That's all right. I'm working the plate tonight. I'll straighten it out." So Bench comes out to catch. We don't talk. He's the third hitter in the inning, and a ball and a strike and another foul ball, and then pitch just on the outside part of the plate, only probably what an umpire could see, and I called strike 3. And he hollered and fussed. And
Wheats unable to get it out, and another run is in for Atlanta. All right, so you ring up Johnny Bench.
So I ring him up, and he fussed on the ball and on the strike call. And I said, sign the balls. The next day, I had 2 dozen in my locker.
Nice.
So that's a make-believe story.
Back to Level Strikes.
That wouldn't really happen.
It would never happen.
No.
But it's a funny story, though.
Yeah, it's a setup story.
Bruce told a story about me at a banquet one time. I don't even know, something about cows and the pasture and where he found me. I didn't know where he was going with this thing. But it was true, though.
Euchre used to make fun of all my hunting stories because we did a lot of. He was always the MC at the writers' dinner, and he did a terrific job with Dick Hackett and Bud. Seelig was the president.
Yeah.
Bud Seelig was the president of the ball club at the time, the Brewers, and we really had a lot of fun. And Euchre would make fun that I had all these hunting stories. Always a hunting story, but great years and great times at that Pfister at those writers' dinners, and the years spin by.
Let me think of how many free things that Bruce Fleming will have after this broadcast. He'll have a room at the Pfister. We've got dinner.
He doesn't want to mess with the
bowling.
funeral home. He doesn't want what the funeral home's going to offer him.
He dropped the funeral home name tonight, and I mean, you're thinking ahead. That's a good umpire. You're thinking ahead.
And I get a milkshake from my doctor.
And a milkshake, and we got a good list going tonight. You're stepping right into this TV job, Bruce. Nice going.
And one of your sponsors that I worked for a lot of years, the Miller Brewing Company. Very, very good people, and a lot of friends over there. I worked with them for 19 years. During the baseball season, we did a lot of marketing and had a lot of fun with customers throughout the country. And they're great people.
And the title of this ballpark, Miller Park, just across the highway.
You know, I go back, I don't want to tell you how far I go back, but I go back when Fred Miller was very instrumental in getting the Braves to move from Boston to here. Mm-hmm. Fred Miller was a big sports guy, and then did a terrible, tragic accident with his son going back to Notre Dame, and in a plane crash right here in Milwaukee, in a private plane. And Wisconsin lost a great sports guy.
From Boston to Milwaukee, and that was kind of the boom west for Major League Baseball. And of course, that's something you've experienced, and the big crowds that they were drawing here in Milwaukee for the Braves kind of led to the departure of not just the Dodgers, but the Giants as well out west to Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Yeah, they were the first two teams west. And the Braves here in the 50s, which was unheard of, they drew 2 million people for 5 straight years in County Stadium, which was unbelievable.
53 to 65, the Milwaukee Braves were in existence after coming from Boston after the 52 season. And then Milwaukee was out without Major League Baseball until 1970, and that's what we celebrate this year, the 40th anniversary of the Milwaukee Brewers. Had to be a thrill for you to umpire a game at County Stadium and then to come here to Miller Park and to see baseball evolve like it has here.
I worked the first game here, first regular official game here for opening. When they opened here in 2001 or 2?
2001.
2001, first year, yeah.
Bud was here, and the President of the United States was here, and they both threw out a pitch, and we were all out behind the mound there, and it was an exciting night.
Open the stadium, Bruce Fleming. Another pop-up, foul territory, and out of room. Jody Garrett made a good effort at it. Well, Rock, I'm kind of glad Bruce hung around with us tonight. This game turned into a bit of a lopsided affair. Nice to hear some of the stories, and what a treasure of information Bruce Fleming has.
Well, you know what? What I learned up here tonight, too, Brian, is that outside pitch that Schroeder's been calling. It's tough to see from
Looks
here.
pretty good.
He doesn't see it all that well. It's a good effort by Jody Garrett, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's a tough call. I mean, getting back to the tough calls. I mean, anything that goes into the stands, is open game for
for the fans. You can't have interference in the stands.
But if a fan reaches over into field of play, then it's the umpire's discretion whether it should have been an out or not.
Yeah, and you can have fan interference there and call it out.
Garrett going into the crowd here with this foul ball a moment ago.
If somebody interferes with him there when he's in the stands, it's nothing. It's just a bad deal.
Right.
Full count. In the right, here's Garrett. No fan interference here. Makes the catch for the out. 2 outs. Well, we ought to give out our Menards player of the game, Eric Hensky. He's a Wisconsin native from Menasha. Down the Fox Valley, 2 for 2. A couple of doubles rocked, 3 driven in.
Yeah, I mean, he really did break the game open down in the 7th inning. A big 2-out double. Yeah, but all 4 times.
He was a good player at Toronto. He's a good pickup for the Braves. I think. I mean, I don't know what his age is. You'd have that, but the guy could hit.
Well, here's the 20-year-old Jason Hayward. Some kind of talent. Hayward was the rookie of the month in the month of April. 8 home runs, 27 driven in now. Hayward has an RBI tonight. 9th inning of a marathon here at Miller Park.
Yeah, Eric Hensky, actually a Menasha, Wisconsin native.
When you're having fun, time flies. Because we're 3.5 hours almost into the game.
See there? Call more strikes. Game will go a lot faster, right? No. Just kidding. We had that conversation about 3 hours ago.
Well, you got 26 hits tonight. 14 runs.
Well, we needed the extra time with you. See, we want to make sure you fulfilled your list. There's a strike. Called by Field and Colbreth.
Just want to make sure you have all of your commercials out of the way.
Right now, I think
You're good?
I wired it all.
You're good?
He wired in. Hayward draws the walk. All right, well, let's talk to Field and Colbreth. Let's hear from him about the strike zone in baseball now.
Believe it or not, the strike zone's so much more consistent than people actually realize. I could assure you of that. I mean, everybody thinks that, this guy calls it one way and this guy calls it another. That's not true. The truth is just no 2 pitches are the same, Everybody thinks would just be consistent. What if every single pitch came into the same place and I called them differently, that'd be one thing, but that's not how the game takes place. So we are consistent. At the same time, you got to understand, sometimes we're just going to be wrong. And that's just the way it is. And you have to allow me to be wrong.
Umpires aren't perfect, Bruce.
Far from it. And I think Fielding said it best. And you know what? And I've talked to Bill about it over the last couple of years. If you got a well pitched game, that's what umpires. That's a nice game to work. When you have a game that's 15-12, that's not a well pitched game, and you're going to have guys that don't like balls and strikes, and it's tough to call.
David Ross pinch hitting and a fly ball out. We head to the bottom of the ninth. Last call for the Brewers, down 11-3. right. It was a bang-bang play. Replay showed that Zahn was out. And that was a big turn of events. Atlanta putting the hammer down. This was a good game until the 7th. Actually, the Brewers pulled within 3 runs to make it 6-3 after 7, and then Atlanta scored 4 runs in the 8th. They added 1 in the 9th, and it is now 11-3. We want to thank our umpires tonight. We have spent a lot of time with them over the last couple of days. Ed Hickox over at third, Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, at second, Marty Foster, the first base umpire, Wisconsin resident, and Fieldon Colbreth from South Carolina, the home plate umpire tonight. And it has been a great perspective, and in a blowout game, frankly, it's been great to have you, Bruce Fremming, and you've helped our ratings tonight, so it's been very educational.
It's great being with you. You know, and I have a lot of fun with both of you all season and last year, and I like being with you. And this was an easy deal to sit here and talk a little bit, and now I know how you all do it, and you don't have an easy job either. When you got a ball game like this, it's got to be tough.
That's why we're glad to have you.
Yeah, today.
We just sit here and listen, which is good.
You know, I think the neat thing for us and for the fans as well watching tonight is just hearing the umpires' voices. You never hear the umpires talk. He kind of humanizes the umpires doing something like tonight. And you hope that you're able to do a little more of that. Well, an easy check swing to call, even with the black bat.
Easy with replay, right?
Yeah, nice to look at the screen, yeah.
Well, we want to thank, of course, Commissioner Bud Selig allowing us to do this tonight with the umpires, and Bob DuPay, Frank Robinson involved, and Mike Port.
Yeah.
And Rock, I know you really helped move this forward with Mike and the rest of the umpires. And it's been a great night.
Yeah, I spoke to Mike Port on a couple of different occasions. Just wanted him to be comfortable with the fact that we were going to be nice to Bruce and nice to the umpires. And Mike Port, who is now with MLB and vice president of umpiring, was the general manager for the Angels when I played. So we go way back.
Fielder flies out number 2. And most importantly, we thank Bruce Fremming. And as humble as he is and as easygoing as he is, he's truly a legend. And I mean that, not just because you're
Future
here.
Hall of Famer.
He's headed to the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest umpires of all time, and Milwaukee is proud to call Bruce our own. And it's great to have you. And, of course, you're always welcome here in the booth. And I know you're not done because you have an instructional after the game, and we're going to get a little more education on Brewers Live postgame tonight. So,
well, I just want to thank both you and Rock here for the nice hospitality and your whole crew here. Everybody's nice. You got about 6-7 people back here that work with you, and everybody's always nice to me when I come in here, and it's a pleasure to come in, and thanks for having me.
We'll send you a bill for the dinner tonight.
You send Fox the bill for my time, and they can mail the keys to my house.
Well, you've done nice work tonight, Bruce, on many levels, and especially on the levels of the personal endorsements, and it's been nice to have you.
You gotta thank the people that brought you to the dance, right? So it's.
I would say you learned from Bill Schroeder, but I think it's just the opposite, right?
Oh yeah, Bruce doesn't learn anything from me. It's the other way around.
Well, we've had Bruce on periodically throughout the years on our instructionals, and it's something that we will continue to do in these kind of specialty nights when we thread the broadcast around the game with something behind the scenes and just bring you a little bit more to the game. We're going to have later this year. We're going to take you inside the truck, our production truck, with our great crew, and we're going to take you around some of the ballpark elements as well. Those who work in the ballpark, and Kids Day is on the docket as well. And it ends appropriately so with a called strike 3, and the ball game is over. Bruce, thanks a lot. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll see you on the instructional.
Great being with you.
Bruce Fremming, a fitting finish. Throw somebody out.